It was on this day 51 years ago. Say it ain't so. 51 years ago, on April the 8th, 1975, Aerosmith released its third studio album called Toys in the Attic. The album was the most commercially successful album for Aerosmith in the U.S. 8 million copies sold, and it features that hit right there, which peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1977. So 2 years later, when it was re-released, and it was one of the songs that helped break Aerosmith into the mainstream in the 1970s. On this day, in 1975, Aerosmith's most commercially successful album in the U.S., Toys in the Attic, was released. A very good Wednesday morning to you, this 8th day of April, 2026. I've got a couple of loose ends to tie off from yesterday's show. Calls from you, answers from us. But before we get there, I must go here to the phones, which are open the minute we start the show every day, 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. And you are not going to, honestly, this story, this coincidence is blowing my mind right now. Chef D is on the phone with us. Good morning, Chefy.
Good morning. How are you, Mr. Farwell?
Well, I'm feeling as though, I don't know, like that Rockwell song, Somebody's Always Watching Me. Let me explain. I can't wait to hear you rip on my favorite NHL team, so we'll get to that. Okay. But do you believe, Chefy, that our phones are listening to us? So when we say,
100%.
right? Yeah, so you're talking about something and then it shows up in your feed, right?
Yep, 100%.
Okay, so that very thing just happened to me and my beloved. We were talking about a home repair, and all of a sudden the ads started popping up on her phone. But wait, This is where it gets really weird. This morning, when I opened my Facebook page, because I like to keep connected to our listeners on Facebook, my personal Facebook memory was of the night, and please forgive me for this, the night that I stole a Chef D beer. You remember when I stole the glassware from your you invited me into your home and I stole a glass. And then I took it home and I posted a picture of me barbecuing with your glassware and your Chef D logo on it. But that showed up on my computer screen this morning when I logged on, and now you're on the phone. Like, hello?
Hello, right?
Right? Like, that's a lot weird. Like, they're really paying attention to us.
100%. Okay, before ripping on your team,
yes.
How about that young lady playing the drums for the, Rush?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Wasn't that amazing?
She's pretty darn good. I cannot dispute this.
Right? And just like, I was thinking about this, and, we're both out in the public, and I couldn't even imagine the pressure that was on her, with all those eyes watching, all of her peers watching, and she just nailed it. So I wanted to talk to you about that.
I think it's an excellent point. Annika Nils from Germany is the new drummer. I hope I'm pronouncing her name properly. But I've heard some folks say, Chef, that they are quite smitten with Ms. Nils, and they now want to call the band Crush instead of Rush. I don't know. I'm still here for Geddy Lee, but that's just me.
I'm with you.
Okay.
So, and I haven't, this is uncharted territory for, the certain team down on the east there.
Uh-huh.
We're actually in the playoffs.
Yeah, okay. And, rub it in, why don't you?
And the blue and white.
We're not. We're definitely not in the playoffs, Chefy. We're not in the playoffs at all. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it really, though, when you think about it? Like 24 Stanley Cups for one team and no Stanley Cups for 59 years and counting for another team. I don't know how crazy it is that one team makes the playoffs and the other doesn't.
I know, and they're riding a hot goalie right now. They could go far.
No, let's not get carried away now.
Wow.
Listen, I'm still cheering against them, don't you? I don't care. Bring the cup back to Canada, just not there.
Well, Mr. Farwell, it's always a pleasure. And if you do need another beer glass, I will give you one.
You will give it to me as opposed to me sneaking it out of your house like a thief in the night. Okay, done deal. Thank you, Sheffy.
Hey, well, you take care. Have a great day, my friend.
You too, pal. Good to hear from you this morning. True as the day is long. My Facebook memory from 7 years ago, me standing at the barbecue with a Chef D beer glass, full of beer, of course, that I had stolen, truly. I mean, it's kind of like a gag you play on a buddy, but still, invited to Sheffy's house, left with the beer glass because I was so taken with it. That's my Facebook memory today, and Sheffy shows up on the phone this morning. I don't know how to explain it, other than that is quite the coinky-dink, isn't it? Doug is also with us on the phone early this Wednesday morning. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Mike. You're going to have to get that glass out again as soon as barbecue season coming up now.
Listen, if you promise me, Doug, that it's barbecue season, I know you've got a closer connection to the man upstairs than I do. Please, like whatever it takes, Doug, throw some Hail Marys up there and some sunshine down here.
Yeah, don't you wish? I know. One of the things you probably don't know about me, Mike, I was an umpire for 16 years, and I got up as far as a little bit of time in the IBL. And, one thing that I always tried to do, even at the higher levels, was, communicate, keep the game going and moving. And to me, that block call last night was absolutely stupid. If he called Glassman for doing the same thing he's been doing for years, then it was ridiculous. Because the only thing I saw, he might have hesitated just a little less than he should have. And you know what? When you check the guy's hands after an inning, then you tell him, "Hey, watch your foot. Do it again. I'm going to call you a balk." The game keeps going smoother. The manager doesn't get tossed out, and people get to watch a good pitcher throw a good game. That's basically how I felt about that last night. It was just ridiculous.
Listen, Doug, I don't think you're alone in that. What I find most interesting, and this is probably exactly how John Schneider, the manager of the Blue Jays, planned it. We're talking about his ejection and not the team's sixth straight loss. Oh, boy. And that was quite the ejection, though. Mr. Schneider got himself pretty fired up. And fear not, as Doug brings up the point early this morning, it is a Wednesday, and that means at 11 a.m., the one and only Blue Jay Hunter will be here on the show with us to talk all things baseball and all things Blue Jays, as difficult as that might be. Have they won since Ian Hunter, the Blue Jay Hunter, was here last Wednesday? I think they have won one time. Nonetheless, we'll talk all things Blue Jays at 11 o'clock this morning. Let me please tie off a couple of loose ends from yesterday's show, because you had questions and we didn't have answers immediately, but I always like to follow back and tie bows on those questions by providing the answers. One of the questions came during our Ask the Chief segment. So if you don't know, we do that on the first Tuesday of every month between 11 and noon. Regional Police Chief Mark Crowell and Inspector Scott Griffiths join us in studio, and you get direct access to them to have your policing questions answered. And we got a call yesterday from Virginia, and she asked the following question.
I just have a quick question. I was at Conestoga Mall last night. I don't know if anybody's asked about this. And I was going out the front door, and there was like 4 or 5 of your Waterloo police SUVs, and it looked like young kids were getting arrested.
It looked like young kids were getting arrested at Conestoga Mall on Monday evening. What was going on? Now, as you know, police get upwards of 1,000 calls every day, and in the moment, neither Chief Crowell nor Inspector Griffiths had an immediate answer as to what that particular incident was about, but they followed up later with an email. And Virginia, I'm sorry, we didn't take down your information, so I couldn't call you back or put you in touch with police, but I am sharing here as publicly as I can the response from Inspector Griffiths, which says, "We looked into it, and the incident involved a group of youth fighting at the mall. 4 young persons were identified, and while no criminal offenses were substantiated, they were charged with trespassing." So there you go. Now, Inspector Griffiths also offered to connect with Virginia if we could share the phone number with him. We don't have that, but Virginia, if you want a follow-up here, email me. Mike at 570news.com, and I can put you in touch with Inspector Griffiths, and we can really close the loop on this. But Virginia wanted to know what's with the young people appearing to be arrested at Conestoga Mall on Monday evening. That is your answer. There was an incident involving youth fighting at the mall, and while no criminal offenses were substantiated, they were charged with trespassing. That is the answer to that. Also got a call during the show yesterday when we were kind of airing our grievances, shall we say, with the new waste collection system here in the region. And that is the new cart-based system now into its second month, and most of the wrinkles have been ironed out. It seems to be going a little more smoothly, but as we learned from a number of emails that were shared with us, and what appears to be a coordinated email effort directed at provincial representatives, waste management here in the region, Circular Materials, which is the organization that is responsible province-wide for recycling. There are still some concerns, particularly around multi-unit residential buildings, elderly folks who are disabled, still struggling with the new system for waste collection here in the region. And we also got a call from George, who couldn't find an answer to his question.
My big question is that I can't seem to find an answer for this. I was hoping you would help me or somebody would help me. It said the maximum weight is 85 pounds for those garbage cans.
George, thank you for that. You are absolutely right. 85 pounds is the weight limit for those new black garbage bins that we roll to our curbside to be picked up by the mechanical arm. I guess even the mechanical arm is only so strong. But that information I was able to find right on the Region of Waterloo website. If you go to regionofwaterloo.ca/carts, you will find all kinds of information there. And that is where I learned that indeed there is a weight limit, 85 pounds or 38.6 kilograms for those of you that have converted. Good for you. I'm still stuck in between. I can do liters. I don't do kilograms a whole lot. Nonetheless, 85 pounds is the weight limit for those big black garbage bins. George, I appreciate the call and the question, and I'm glad we could close the loop on that one as well. All right, how about that Farwell Show 5 for this Wednesday morning? Number one, American President Donald Trump says his government will work with Iran to dig up enriched uranium buried under joint U.S.-Israeli strikes last summer. Iran has not confirmed this, mind you. The latest remark comes after Iran, the U.S., and Israel agreed to a 2-week ceasefire that includes reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Trump also pulled back from his threat to unleash a bombing campaign that would destroy Iranian civilization. But hours after the announcement, Iran and Gulf Arab countries reported new attacks today. Number two, 3 federal by-elections are coming up next week. And if the Liberal candidate wins in each riding, Prime Minister Mark Carney will have himself a workable majority. 2 ridings are in Toronto and are considered safe Liberal seats. If they both stay Liberal red, Carney gets a majority of 172 seats. But the Speaker of the House is a Liberal and traditionally does not vote. So any test of the government would come down to 171 Liberal MPs versus 171 opposition MPs. That makes the contest in Terrebonne, Quebec, the big one to watch, as it would give Carney that magic number of 173 seats. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Prime Minister Mark Carney is defending his government's plan for a proposed high-speed rail line. Carney says a high-speed rail project connecting Toronto and Quebec City would create more than 50,000 jobs and contribute more than $35 billion to the economy. Opposition to the plan has continued to grow, such as from communities where land will be expropriated for the construction. Number 4, for the 3rd straight year, the Kitchener Rangers have the Ontario Hockey League's top overage player. 46-goal scorer Jack Pridham was awarded the trophy yesterday. This is after Jackson Parsons won it last year and Matt Sopp the year before that. This is the first time in history that the same team has produced 3 consecutive top overage players in the Ontario Hockey League. Pridham and those Rangers open their second round series with the Sioux on Friday. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, a former Kitchener minor hockey player has recorded an NHL points milestone.
Deeper in the zone, Scheifele, Connor, it deflects in, off Ryan Lindgren. It'll be 900 points for Mark Scheifele.
Lucky to play with some amazing people and be given this chance by the Winnipeg Jets, so just very, very blessed.
900 points for Mark Scheifele, who played his minor hockey in Kitchener before moving on to the OHL with the Barrie Colts. Now he's on his way to 1,000 points with the Winnipeg Jets.
Bueller.
And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Wednesday morning. Just going back to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and the ceasefire currently in the Middle East. Here was my adventure with gasoline yesterday afternoon. I learned from you some time ago here on this show that it's best. I have been in the habit of stopping at the gas station on my way into work in the morning because it doesn't tend to be too busy at that time. And I just want to get things done as quickly and efficiently as possible. So I usually stop in here on my way into work. I figure I can spare the 5 minutes most days. But then I learned from you that the price is often higher first thing in the day as opposed to later in the day. So I have changed my habits, and I try to fill up now after work, even towards dinner or after dinner, so that the price might be lower. I'm coming home from an appointment yesterday afternoon in Waterloo, and I knew I needed gas, and my plan was to fill up. It's around dinner time at this point, so should be about the right time. First gas station I see was $1.80 something, and I thought, okay, well, I heard on the radio, because, I'm listening to the radio, that the price is supposed to come down this afternoon. $1.80 is about where I saw it yesterday morning. So I'm going to pass this gas station, get to another gas station, $1.82.9. I'm like, no, hard pass on that one too. I know there are more gas stations just a few blocks away. And sure enough, traveling those few blocks was a windfall for me because I found it another 5 cents cheaper at $1.77, 8 or 9, something like that. So there you go. 5 cents per liter on a 55-liter fill-up saved me $2.75 yesterday. Don't get me started on how one drive from Waterloo to Kitchener and passing 4 different gas stations, you can have prices ranging from $1.77.9 to $1.82.9. And they're not all that far apart, the gas stations. I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but that was my adventure in gasoline price searching yesterday. And yes, I've heard the gas price watcher, Dan McTagg, suggest that if you can hang in there, prices are going to come down double digits per liter in the next 24 to 48 hours. Well, Dan McTagg, I wish I had known that yesterday, but still, I feel pretty good about the $2.75 that I saved on that fill up. This is the Mike Farwell Show. Your morning wake-up call is coming up. Either you can make it or I will. This is 570 News Radio. Russell sends me an email to Mike at 570news.com, says, when I go by the gas station by my place around 6 a.m., it's always lower than when I come home. Russell, please, I can't. I've changed my ways. And the gas station that I usually visit in the morning, I also pass on my way home from work. And it is inevitably lower when I go home than it is when I came in. I think what Russell is just reminding me is that it's a game, and the only people playing it are the oil companies that set these prices and move them around like they do. We're just pawns. We do the best that we can, but it's usually a fruitless effort on our part. Nonetheless, let's get to the phones because Sue is here and has something to say this morning. Good morning, Sue.
Well, I'm also trying to advertise to the ladies to try to not go to bed so early, because always after 9 o'clock, it drops even more. I just wanted to share with you, 167 was how I feel.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
When?
Last night.
No way. 167?
Yes. It's a Shell at Bridgeport and Lancaster. I usually check the one also on Victoria and Lancaster, and they even fluctuate. But, yeah, because I also have a CIA, it drops down 3 extra cents.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Sue. Did you say Victoria and Lancaster?
Victoria and Lancaster Shell, as well as the Shell at Bridgeport.
Hang on. You got gas at Victoria and Lancaster last night at 167.
At Bridgeport.
Okay, because I got gas at Victoria and Lancaster for 177 last night.
But it's a time I hear. It's after 9 o'clock.
So listen, I got to get up early. I need my beauty sleep, you know.
Well, this is it. After 9 o'clock in the evening, it always drops down, because when I go to church on Wednesday nights, it finishes at 9.
Where do you go to church? St. Paul's?
No, the one that was built in 1899, right on Water Street there.
Oh, yes, that's
a Church of Christ Scientists, and people are known as I'm an adherent to Christian Science.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sue, thank you for that. $1.67. It's almost free. And I kind of like the idea of going out under cover of darkness to get the gas at that price, because then you're going to feel like you're stealing from them, right? I came out after 9 o'clock and I'm getting it for $1.67. Clinton, thank you very much for the email to Mike at 570news.com. Did I miss something? Friday song request? Thank you, Clinton. I don't know what I would do without you. I took Monday off. Yesterday felt like Monday, but I knew it was Tuesday. I'm, in short, very confused, not doing my job well. I need people like Clinton to keep me in line. I have neglected to this very moment to tell you what the theme is for this Friday. So allow me, thanks to Clinton, to let you know. Started the show yesterday with a song from the album Dark Side of the Moon, because, you know, those astronauts just saw the dark side of the moon. And that would have been the perfect time to let you know that the theme for this Friday's All Request is songs about a place. I mean, the dark side of the moon could be that place. So whatever song is about a place, you make the decision how you fit the theme and make your request for this Friday's show. Okay? Drop me an email anytime, Mike at 570news.com, or when you call in to talk to us, just let Devin know what song you would like to hear on Friday. It's an All Request Friday, songs about a place. That is your theme to fit into this Friday on All Request Friday. I'm going to get you an update from the 570 News Center, and then let's talk about U.S. President Donald Trump, if we must. What about those threats about pulling the U.S. out of NATO? Could this happen? That's coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. I will be the first to admit that I take things said by U.S. President Donald Trump on social media or elsewhere with a fairly sizable grain of salt. If I'm being honest with you, I'm not entirely sure the man is in complete control of what comes out of his mouth. Nonetheless, there are implications for things even when they are just uttered, as they were by President Trump to a British newspaper last week, which has revived speculation about whether or not President Trump is ready to pull the U.S. out of NATO. Of course, we know all about NATO and Canada's membership therein. So what would the implications of this be? Aaron Ettinger is an associate professor in the Department of Political Science at Carleton University, joins us to talk more about it. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Whether I take seriously Mr. Trump's comments or not, the implications, I think, are rather real here. What would it look like if the U.S. were to withdraw from NATO?
Well, simply put, NATO would be about half as capable as it is right now. Right? The United States spends, if you take the entire NATO budget on military spending, the United States spends about 60% of that. Right now, not all of that goes to Europe, but something in the order of 40 to 50% of all spending on defense in the NATO verse is American. So if the United States were to withdraw, all of that would be gone, and NATO would be far less militarily capable than it is right now.
Legally, is it possible for a nation to withdraw its membership in NATO?
Yes, it is. If you look at the NATO charter, it's only 14 points long. It's very simple. Withdrawing from NATO means all you have to do is inform the United States that you're withdrawing from NATO, and then the 1-year countdown clock begins. That's at the treaty level. Now, every single country has different legal parameters about how this plays out. But simply put, if you want out of NATO, the treaty makes provisions for that.
Does the President of the United States have the ability within the Constitution itself to withdraw from NATO?
Man, just like everything with the Constitution and the Article 2 powers of the presidency, the answer is it depends. Right? I mean, the NATO treaty was adopted by Congress, U.S. Congress in 1949, right, by a 2/3 majority and all of that constitutional stuff, which makes it a matter of domestic law. So the question then becomes, can the president override what is essentially domestic law, approved by 2/3 of the Senate? And the answer is, well, it depends, right? It depends on what the will of Congress is, as articulated in other kinds of law, what the precedent law has to say, and frankly, what the courts eventually will have to say. But if you look at the history of presidential withdrawals from treaty since, basically the 1790s, the answer is, well, it depends on the context. And that's the situation we find ourselves in 2026, right? We can look at 250 years of precedent or whatever it is, and ultimately it comes down to a political question that the courts may not be interested in resolving.
So irrespective, Aaron, of the legality or even ability of U.S. President Trump to withdraw from NATO, I feel as though we ought to at least pay some attention to this, given the implications that you've outlined here, with 60% of that NATO spending coming through the United States.
That's right. I mean, we in the rest of the NATO verse cannot afford to take him unseriously.
Right.
As ridiculous as some of these propositions he puts forward on social media may be, we can't afford to take it unseriously because of the downstream implications. So what should the rest of NATO do? Well, they're already doing it. They're bulking up their own military capabilities. Canada is making business deals with other countries around the world, trying to deleverage themselves from the United States, right? Trying to diversify so that they're not as exposed to the abandonment threats coming from Donald Trump.
I think, speaking of abandonment threats, I think there is a lesson here, and a very recent one, in that deadline, if you will, for obliterating or destroying an entire civilization that came and went last night. Granted, we are hearing about a ceasefire as of last night and into this morning, but nonetheless, there was a threat from President Trump to destroy a civilization last night that he did not follow through on. I mean, are we getting to the point here where he's kind of that boy crying wolf?
Yes. Yes. What we are seeing when we take a look at the last 10 years of him being in office or near office is that Trump's threats are more plausible in some circumstances than they are in other circumstances. Right? So when he goes all the way to the max, when he cranks the threats up to 11, that's not especially plausible, right? Because a plausible threat is one that has credibility behind it, and one that allows the adversary or his opponent to actually fulfill the obligations. So threats to annihilate Persianate civilization in its entirety is just absurd. Right? And what we've seen in the last 12 or 24 hours is just this enormous climb down from Donald Trump. So we can't really take that one seriously. Other things that are more credible, plausible, that have actual concrete things that the adversary can do, well, that's more plausible. And that's the kind of thing that we've learned about Donald Trump over the last decade.
big picture here, Aaron, and I don't want to go too far down the Prime Minister Carney's speech about middle powers, etc. But the past 10 years of Donald Trump being in or near office in the United States, our global world order, as we knew it, has, to me, shifted rather dramatically, has it not?
It has. It has, because the linchpin of it all is not reliable anymore.
Right. So what does that mean for a nation like ours here in Canada?
Well, Canada has to pick its priorities. Right? Canada can no longer have it all ways. It can no longer be, a fully fledged, paid up member of the liberal international order, but also a close ally to the United States, and then talk about universal principles, but also, wants to be a continentalist. Like, Canada needs to prioritize in ways that it has not had to do in the past, because in the past, the last 70 or 80 years, the United States has been, for the most part, a very, very reliable partner and willing to uphold all of the global interests that Canada upholds. Things have changed now, and Canada has to make some very serious strategic decisions about what its future looks like.
Just one more thing you got me thinking of, if I may, and I know I'm going on a bit of an assumption here, but assuming that these next 3 years are the last years of Donald Trump in office in the United States, is this a relationship, or is this a partner that can be made more reliable again? Or would it be dangerous to even think that's a possible outcome under a new president?
I mean, I think that, if a Democratic president enters office in a couple of years, things will return to something resembling normal. But it's never going to go back all of the way, right? Because the United States, yes, under Trump, but still, the United States has threatened to abandon Canada. And once that seal has been broken, you can't unseal it. You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. So Canada now knows that even a return to something resembling normal will never be the way it once was.
Aaron, really appreciate your perspective today. Thanks very much for joining the show.
Thank you very much.
Aaron Ettinger is an associate professor in the Department of Political Science at Carleton University, explains the logistics of, and legality, quite frankly, of the United States and President Trump's threats to withdraw from NATO, and how that would really, quite frankly, rock the NATO establishment, with 60% of that funding coming through the United States, which, as we know, has proven itself over these last 12 to 8. Well, I mean, Aaron even goes back for the 10 years since Donald Trump was first in office or has been near office. The United States has proven to be a most unreliable global partner. This latest threat is one that we would probably be best to take at least somewhat seriously. Again, if I'm being honest with you, and it's the only way I know how to be, I don't take it all that seriously, because I don't want to be the I told you so guy, but mentioned it on the show yesterday, and I know I was listening to Rob Snow yesterday afternoon. You got a chance to do a deeper dive into it then, but I mentioned yesterday that the deadline for annihilating an entire civilization would come and go, and it did. No civilization got annihilated last night. We can say what we want about the ceasefire and what that really looks like and who's the one saying that it exists today, et cetera, but to me, it was a perfect Taco Tuesday yesterday. The deadline by which President Trump said he was going to destroy an entire civilization came and went without that civilization being destroyed. I am truly not certain that this man is in possession of his own faculties. I'm honestly not. So he says a lot of stuff. I don't put a lot of stock in what the man says, but that's me. Always interested in your perspective, because it is a new world order, isn't it? We'll take your calls after this. It's the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
We, in the rest of the NATO-verse, cannot afford to take him unseriously. So what should the rest of NATO do? Well, they're already doing it. They're bulking up their own military capabilities. Canada is making business deals with other countries around the world, trying to, deleverage themselves from the United States, right? Trying to diversify so that they're not as exposed to the abandonment threats coming from Donald Trump.
That is Aaron Ettinger, an associate professor in the Department of Political Science at Carleton University. Joins us to talk about another threat from U.S. President Donald Trump. This threat had come before last night's threat, which he didn't follow through on, to destroy an entire civilization, but commented in a British newspaper last week that the U.S. would withdraw from NATO. I'm sorry. To me, it honestly is the boy or the man who cried wolf, and I'm exhausted by it. And I almost get the feeling that he is the marionette and we are simply the puppets. And he just wants to see how the world reacts to his next outlandish statement. Nonetheless, we always like to solicit your perspective on the show. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Let's start with Pat. Good morning, Pat.
Morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm not entirely sure if this is another statement that he's not going to follow through on, but with respect to being reliable partners, I view NATO allies like Canada as being unreliable partners because, again, for a very long time, it's actually the U.S. that has been propping up NATO with respect to its budget. And for a very long time, it's requested other partners to increase their defense spending and essentially taken the U.S. to make these types of threats to have these partners become more reliable. I work in an industry where, again, dealing with Canadian companies around armaments, we wouldn't touch because of reputational risk. And now that has completely changed. And we can't afford to, again, be concerned about reputational risk. And we shouldn't have been concerned about reputational risk 10, 15 years ago when, again, the U.S. was calling it on us and other member countries to be more reliable with respect to our spending.
Pat, I appreciate the call and the perspective on that. And fair point. We were derelict, quite frankly, in our fiduciary duties here when it comes to defense spending and the targets that NATO set out and we agreed to as a NATO member. So I'll grant you that. And I guess what I would say further is clearly things have changed. Is it necessarily because of U.S. President Donald Trump's threats, or is it more because we have a prime minister who believes more in that? I don't know. But there does seem to be a connection, doesn't there? Canada has to sort of reestablish its place in the world here. So maybe that makes it unfortunate that we have to get to a point where threats such as this is what motivates us to act. Disappointing on Canada's part, which, again, was long a laggard in that defense spending. And even that, now that we've arrived to that 2% target, we've been rather creative in the financing. Jersey Bill, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Well, my feeling is, of course, it's great that more destruction wasn't brought down on the world yesterday, because, of course, that's what happened to just Iran. There would have been a counteract on their part, and who knows where that would have led. But what really bothers me is that, once again, the Secretary of War, as he likes to call himself, he just seems to want to be believing in his own press releases, and there's no humility. It's a good thing that we're entering a different stage. No, it's all a bunch of threats and bluster, whether or not they plan to act on it or not. And just, of course, as I guess has already been said, it's just the threat itself that destabilizes the world. And do we want to live in a world of constant threat, or would we rather live in a world where we come to some reasonable agreement about certain things? And I realize sometimes on the other side, the other side isn't reasonable, and they have to be confronted in some way. But is this the right way to confront them? Also, he talks about it being a battlefield. Well, you know what? I guess you could call the Battle of Britain when the Nazis tried to bomb Britain into submission a battlefield, because of course they were at least met by they had dogfights in the air with the British planes, but this was more like just a targeting kind of thing. It really wasn't quite a battlefield, and it's really only a battlefield when you get ground troops, and there's no desire to do that. And I just don't see how they're going to get everything they want the way they're playing this thing out.
Billy, appreciate the call and perspective on that from a retired military man himself. Pat, good morning.
Yes, I find it interesting that the discussion about Trump always reverts to, he makes all these threats and all this, and nothing happens. He doesn't do anything. He always backs off. Well, this ceasefire, I don't believe, would have come about unless he had made those threats. When you go back to his first term with North Korea, I think Kim Jong-un, he kind of viewed Trump as kind of another version of himself. He said, this guy's crazy. He said, I think I'd better fall in line. How many ballistic missile tests were done by North Korea when Trump was first president? And when you talk about all the threats, destabilizing things, that's what Iran's been up to for the last 50 years. And to completely set that aside and, try to negotiate with them, like Obama sent how many billions of dollars in cash on skids directly to them. Now, where do you think the money went for that?
Pat, I appreciate the call and the perspective, including historical. I'll try to squeeze in one more before the 10 a.m. news. Kevin, I got about 60 seconds.
Hi, good morning, Mike. I'm going to make it really quick. Well, here's the thing. First of all, I think as a person in charge, as a president of the United States, that every word that comes out of his mouth, it can affect the economy of the world. It must be a person with the right and healthy mental situation for himself. So, he knows what is he talking about. And the second thing is, I'm against the regime of Iran. I escaped Iran 40 years ago and I came to Canada. But in one thing, kudos for the government of Iran. For 47 years under the sanction, they managed to stand against not one country, but two countries, Israel and America. And without going like Ukraine asking for money, for weapons, they just did it by themselves. So kudos for their patriotism. I don't like the government, but at least they stood by and they stand for the country and not letting one boot of a foreigner troop get to that country. That's what I'm going to say.
All right, Kevin, that is what you did say, and you kept it to just a shade over 1 minute, as we got to get you to the 570 News Center for an update. Always interesting in this new world order, isn't it? Following this update from the 570 News Center, we're keeping it domestic. It's our Wednesday morning ritual as we mind Ottawa's business with the Blacklocks reporter. That's coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. Every Wednesday morning on the show, immediately following our 10 a.m. update, we check in on the nation's capital and mind Ottawa's business with our friends at the Blacklocks Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom that covers the capital with neither politics nor punditry. I received an email in this past week from Barry, who has enjoyed these weekly commentaries with Tom Korski, the managing editor at the Blacklocks Reporter, went to blacklocks.ca himself to learn more and decided it was well worth the price of a subscription. If you want journalism to continue, subscribing for that journalism is the way to do it, and you can do that as well at blacklocks.ca. Again, managing editor Tom Korski joins us for these weekly conversations. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
They say in the world of work, it's not always what you know, it's who you know. And I guess in some cases it's good to know our finance minister.
And how? Here is his wife hired by a Crown Corporation after the boat was in the water to finance up to $90 billion the Alto high-speed regional train, first leg from Ottawa to Montreal. The finance minister's wife has no experience in railroading. She's not an engineer. She's never been a railway executive, but she got a pretty good vice presidency job with this Crown Corporation called Alto Corporation. I'm sorry to say, Mike, the finance minister has not been forthcoming. He said he had nothing to do with any of this because that would be wrong under the Conflict of Interest Act, and it is. And yet we see that just a month ago, in Senate National Finance Committee, that he was the guy who got the train through Trois-Rivières, which is the current route. And we got it done. He said he was giving himself a high five. The Ethics Committee in the House of Commons is going to be after this. This is not good, Mike.
The Prime Minister, though, says it is good for spouses of ministers to have their own careers, right?
This weird, forgive me, it was sort of a weird feminist pronouncement that this wasn't about feather bedding, cronyism, or pork barreling. This was about strong women in the workplace. Can you imagine? Was the Prime Minister's take. This is, I quote him accurately. He says there are rules, there are regulations, they were all followed. But the first thing to say is that whatever minister, hopefully they'll have a partner, I'm quoting the Prime Minister of our nation, and that partner will have a job, they'll have a career. It's important that we have a system that those individuals can continue to pursue their career. You know, it reminds me, in the olden days, there was a BC highways minister, Phil Gillardy, what a character, God bless him, whose sons got highway contracts. And when he was called on it, he gave a very emotional, almost brought himself to tears to say, why should Phil Gillardy's sons be disqualified from bidding on public works just because their pop is the Minister of Highways? You know, if you hold it in such a way, anything can make ethical sense. And that's what they're trying to do with this one, but it still stinks.
Well, and, you know, it's somewhat related, since we're on the topic of rail, and I mentioned Prime Minister Carney, he was defending the decision to move forward with this line yesterday, the jobs that will be created, et cetera. But you and I have had a couple of chuckles in recent times, Tom, about the whole idea of high-speed rail in this country. Oh, how this story has come up again and again and again, and all we do is spend money on it.
60 years of research, literally 60 years of studies. They've been doing this since centennial year. This has been studied more than Mars landings. And every single cabinet for the last 60 years has looked at this and said, look, this thing's a dog. Like, it's going to cost a fortune. There's not going to be the take-up. It's been overtaken by technology anyway. You're basically talking about 1970 technology, a 300-kilometer-an-hour electrified railway. That's not amazing. It's just going to cost, by their estimate, $60 to $90 billion, which is more than the national defense budget, so that people from Montreal can get to Ottawa 20 minutes sooner. Mike, everyone knows this is the only thing they're going to do. So far, they budget $4.3 billion. Consultants are going to be buying speedboats off of this, and then it will die. Right now, it is literally a wealth transfer program for federal consultants and apparently the wives of cabinet ministers.
Way to bring that one back to the beginning of where we started today. Okay, we talked about it earlier today on the show, the upcoming by-elections that mean an awful lot to creating an effective majority for Prime Minister Carney. Former NDP MPP Dolly Begum is running in one of those by-elections in Toronto next week. I wonder, though, Tom, has Ms. Begum had a change of heart about the party she is now running for?
Well, she sure did, Mike. She was very, very active on social media. She described the Liberal Party as the root of all evil. Let's not forget the Liberals and their years of failure, she wrote on her Twitter account. That was only in 2019. Great to see Liberals continuing to steal NDP ideas in a desperate bid for votes, she wrote in 2018. But my favorite was before the 2019 general election, federal election, and she retweeted with approval a spicy, spirited commentary in The Guardian, British Daily, that described the Liberal Party as evil. This is what gives the ultimate lie to the promise of strategic voting, said future Liberal candidate Dolly Begum. The politics of Liberals aren't a lesser evil. They're the surest path to greater evil. An important read before the election, wrote Dolly. It is rich in irony.
It is funny how opportunity changes one's perspective, isn't it?
And how?
Catchphrases and logos, Tom. I'm curious how those will help us solve our housing crisis here in Canada.
They will not. The own in-house research by the Privy Council Office, that's the top of the federal bureaucracy, shows people are highly skeptical of the government's plan to ease the affordability crisis, but the Housing Department has replied by, you are correct, commissioning focus groups on catchphrases, slogans, what colors look prettiest in the pamphlets. I'm not making this up. They came up with one slogan, Canada has a new housing plan, the most ambitious since the Second World War. That was very popular with focus groups because it mentions the war, as pollsters reported back to the department. And this helped to communicate the seriousness with which the federal government was approaching the issue. My favorite, though, Michael, they have come up with a memo, access to information memo to the housing minister, where they said there is no housing crisis if you have a house, that really the affordability crisis only applies to people who don't have a house. So help me. But this is what it says. The current crisis does not reflect the affordability of neighborhoods for current residents. It's only young couples who want to get in. Most neighborhoods are affordable in the sense that current residents are generally able to afford living there, end of quote. Could you imagine, like, if you had me on to talk about unemployment, I said, unemployment's not a problem if you have a job. You'd be saying, Tommy, you've been drinking cough syrup? Like, what is your major malfunction? That's the housing department.
I tell you, and we wonder, and you and I have talked about this before, too, when it comes to Housing Minister Gregor Robertson, who has himself a relatively tidy real estate portfolio, does he not?
Extensive, and all West Coast real estate, including vacation homes on the lake. This is a seven-figure real estate portfolio for the housing minister. He's an expert in owning property. Solving the housing crisis, not so much.
Last time I checked, even as someone who I wouldn't say owns, because there's still that whole nasty thing called a mortgage attached to it, but I still got to put gasoline in the car in that driveway and bring groceries into that house, Tom. You want to talk about affordability here.
It is so brutal. Really, if there's a young family somewhere in your space, my goodness, Mike, what is the statistic? They came up, this is Minister Robertson's housing department. If you are a new home buyer, so this is the young family, they're raising the children, they got to pay the taxes, they're going to have to cover the deficits. The proportion of median pre-tax income you will devote for shelter and transportation in the city of Toronto is 88%. 88%, which means it doesn't happen. Because if you did, you wouldn't have shoes to wear or food to eat. 88%, Mike. And these guys are goofing around with pretty colors and catchphrases. It's unbelievable.
It looks good, though.
It's looking so good.
Tom, keep up the good work. Thanks for this.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Korski is the managing editor at the Blacklocks Reporter, our nation's capital only reporter-owned and operated newsroom. And you can find out more online at blacklocks.ca, just like Barry, who found it worth the subscription. You can learn more there. Blacklocks.ca. Get a subscription for yourself and hear Tom on our show every Wednesday morning at 10 as we mind Ottawa's business. Speaking of minding Ottawa's business, that is the X handle of the Blacklocks Reporter. It's Minding Ottawa. And I have this thing, I must admit, anytime I hear a reference to the community of Salmon Arm in British Columbia, I have to stop. It's like when, do you remember a few weeks back, and we shared it on our show's Facebook page? Always check it out. Just look up the Mike Farwell Show on Facebook. when there was a Jeopardy question that made reference to Kitchener and Punky Doodle's Corners, for that matter. But you feel like, oh, I've made it now. I just have that same thing every time I hear about Salmon Arm, British Columbia, because, forgive me, I know I've mentioned it many times, but that is where I got my first full-time radio job. And so when I was perusing the X account, Minding Ottawa, I saw a welcome from one of the fine folks, the publisher, in fact, and part owner at Blacklock's Reporter, Holly Doan, was welcoming some new first-time Blacklock's readers. That would include Barry, who I've mentioned a couple of times already this morning. But one of those new readers to Blacklock's Reporter is from Salmon Arm, BC. And Holly asks the question in her post on X, who remembers why Salmon Arm made the news in August of 1982? Ooh, I know, he says as I raises my right arm into the air. Because you see, the radio station that I worked at in British Columbia had a pretty decent studio window that looked out across the road at a train station. And it would not be remarkable or too remarkable, except that is the very reason why Salmon Arm made the news back in August of 1982, because it was at that very train station that a former prime minister, not Justin, but the senior, Pierre Trudeau, reportedly reacted with a, quote, vulgar finger motion to a group of protesters that had gathered there in Salmon Arm, British Columbia. I could gaze out the studio window at CKXR Salmon Arm back in the day at the very train station where the former prime minister flipped the bird to some protesters. I always thought that was neat, and anytime I hear about or see reference made to Salmon Arm, British Columbia, I get all giddy like, look, we're on the map, even though I haven't been there for these past 28 years. But it gets a mention at Minding Ottawa on X, and I thought I'd share that little memory with you here this morning. All right, I'm going to take a break. When we come back, what I share with you every day on the show in and around 10:20, which we're very quickly approaching, a reminder that not everybody is a jackwagon. That story is coming up on the Mike Farwell Show this morning. This is 570 News Radio. Look at that. It's 10:20 on the nut. Well, about to flip over to 10:21. How about that for an old school reference? Do you remember those digital clocks that the numbers actually flipped on the display? Oh, my goodness. We're going down memory lane, by the way, with this story that reminds you not everybody is a jackwagon. So get ready, because I'll bet my bottom dollar you either did this or knew somebody who did. It was happening in your neighborhood, and I'm so glad that it's still happening in neighborhoods to this very day. Yesterday, when I did this segment and shared with you the Not Everybody is a Jackwagon story, which was really just a recap of some really good people that stepped forward and helped out with Farwell for Hire over the weekend. It just reminds us that right here in our own backyard, that there are people every day who are doing these things, however small it may seem, but to make this place a better place to live. Morty's in Waterloo, the KW Titans, the people that randomly handed out cash at the KW Titans game to support Farwell for Hire, and knowing that I would put that money directly into the Farwell for Hire fund. These are the gestures that make our community a great place. And we're staying local today with Not Everybody is a Jackwagon. When we got to this time of the show yesterday, I said that it needs to have a theme. I need something punchy, right? And I put the offer out there to any enterprising individual with any kind of musical flair. And I did receive a punchy little song, but because I am me and basically a moron, that I didn't download it and put it together yet. So it's coming thank you. Like, I can always count on Farwell's force, right? You are always there for me. This is why I know that not everybody is a jackwagon, because you are consistently, whether I need you or not, you're there to pick me up. Clinton emailed earlier, said, hey, I didn't hear your all request theme this week. It's because I forgot to say it. It's places, by the way, songs about places. But anyway, I've got a song. It's punchy. I love it. We're going to get it on for this segment. And something else I do is ask you if you know the story of somebody who is not a jackwagon and you would like to share that so that we can share it on the show. And this was an email from Andrew, which is why we can keep it local again. So thank you, Andrew. Remember, the email address is mike@570news.com. If you know somebody who is not a jackwagon, we want to hear their story. And so Andrew shares this story that takes us on a little trip down memory lane to the time that we would sling a shovel over our shoulder and just get out there. And, well, in my case, I was making about $5 a driveway. I had one big driveway. I made $15 shoveling that driveway. Now, make no mistake, that was a big arse driveway. Let me tell you, a corner house too. So a lot of sidewalk going around, but I got paid $15 every time. This is a wee bit different because these young lads in Guelph did this for no other reason than they knew that Joan needed the help in her Guelph home. You know how brutal this past winter was, right? Well, Joan looked out her window on one of those brutal winter days, and what did she see but 3 young boys out there clearing her driveway of snow? She didn't ask for their help, but they were there. And when she stepped outside to say, hey, I'd like to give you a little money for that, the boys said, nope, we don't want any of your money. It was a couple of brothers, Lorenzo and Luca Camara, along with their friend Charlie Keel. And helping out wasn't about getting the money. It was the right thing to do, according to these young boys in Guelph. And throughout the winter, they continued to clear Joan's driveway with zero expectation of payment or recognition. The beautiful thing about this is their act of kindness did not go unnoticed. And now these young boys in Guelph have been awarded with a random act of kindness award. They're going to get to go to a Guelph Storm game next season. And they had some Guelph Storm jerseys gifted to them for their random act of kindness. They just went and thought they could help out Joan with her driveway. Wouldn't you know that this is also the first winter that Joan has had to spend without her husband, Bill. So rather than wallow in the misery of this brutal winter and wishing that Bill were around to help clear the snow, the gesture from these boys made things just a little bit easier for Joan, and it gets Lorenzo, Luca, and Charlie recognized as our non-jackwagons, because don't you know, not everybody is a jackwagon. I will get that punchy little song ready for the next time we do this tomorrow morning around 10:20. And I'll remind you again, if you know somebody who is not a jackwagon, please do take a moment to share that story with me. Just send me an email, mike@570news.com. Point me in the right direction, and we will share the story here on the show. Just reminding us every day that not everybody is a jackwagon. An update on the way from the 570 News Center. Also on the way this weekend, the Elmira Maple Syrup Festival. You'll hear about that in the next 30 minutes. And the Evening of Elegance in support of the Waterloo Region Family Network. That story coming up next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. My favorite guests are in-studio guests, and 2 of my favorite guests are both in studio. This makes this my favorite segment to talk about today. Sue Simpson is with me in studio, Executive Director at the Waterloo Region Family Network. Sue, thank you for being here. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having us.
And Jody Purdy is here as well, one of the event organizers with the Evening of Elegance that we're about to talk about. And gosh, I don't know, like, woman of Waterloo Region, like, you're all over the place. I see you all the time. I see the family all the time. Thanks for making time for this show today.
Thanks for having us. It's always our pleasure.
Sue, if I could start with you, Waterloo Region Family Network, WRFN. For those who might not know, what is the Waterloo Region Family Network all about?
The Family Network is a peer-developed and peer-driven network to support families who have loved ones with an exceptional need. And by exceptional, we refer to developmental or physical disabilities, communication or learning disabilities, and related mental health challenges. So we support them in terms of connecting them to vital resources in the community and to each other, just to help to reduce the isolation of that lonely journey.
How did the organization first come together?
We came together with 5 parents. We were involved with a local agency who was doing a strat planning opportunity. And through that, there was a need to connect parents with each other. And so the 5 of us decided to move forward. That agency supported us to become a community-led organization. And so we've been going ever since. That was back in 2009.
Wow. So 2009, 17 years later, here we are. And I guess the big piece then is funding. Starting from this group of 5 parents, how do you put together funding every year to do this work?
Through a lot of hard work, We're very fortunate to have a number of agencies in our community support us through a partnership group. So they support us to do the work that they otherwise would not be doing. And so we're able to do that to connect those families together and to support in that way. And so that's a core of what we do. And a lot of it is grants. We've been very fortunate to have grant through General Operating Support Grant that really helps because it's not specific to a project. It helps us to meet our bottom line. And then a lot of hard fundraising, Evening of Elegance being one, annual fundraising appeals, and just always looking for opportunities where we can raise funds to continue to support families. The situations with families are becoming more and more complex with their loved ones, and so we had an increase this past year of 19% new families joining our organization, and so that's a lot in one particular year.
Fundraising and the Evening of Elegance, Jody, I can't believe this is the 11th annual, 2 weeks this Friday on the 24th of April.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like, we talk about it every time we're here, but the day the event actually runs, the moment we're done, we're talking to one another about how we can make next year's bigger and better, and we start the planning right from that event, and we learn from every opportunity. Where can we grow? Where can we reach more people? Where can we get more engagement from the community? And what can we offer to the people who come to the Evening of Elegance to give them a little bit of a different twist every year? So,
if I'm not mistaken, I think the very first one I was able to attend. It was certainly early on, and of course my hockey schedule doesn't make it possible every year. But as you've gone through this over 11 years, how has the event changed, evolved?
Well, like other organizations, we faced COVID with challenges, and with that one we did an online cooking where we tried to engage families in their home, and we made, I remember, shawarma.
Oh, yeah.
It was so delicious. My girls loved it. We've done that. We've had spoken word. We've had members talk about getting diagnosed later in life. We've had, this year we're going to have a very special guest speaker, Brian DeLauder from 10 Telescopes. He builds 3D telescopes and is actually going to be a raffle prize of a fully assembled specialized telescope. And then we'll have a demonstration as well going on this evening as well. So it's every year just trying to find different elements within our community that we can share with people who come out to the Evening of Elegance.
Yeah. Friday, April the 24th, as I mentioned, Sue. What more should people know about the when, the where, those things?
It's at St. George Banquet Hall in Waterloo. Doors opening at 7. Tickets are still available until April the 15th. So if you haven't bought your ticket yet, please go ahead. We would love to have you do that. We're, again, just a really great opportunity for people to learn more about the work that we do, to come mix and mingle with friends. Bring friends would be wonderful if people can bring their friends along to learn more. And so, yes, you can purchase those tickets through our website at wrfn.info under Evening of Elegance tab. And you'll see it's quite easy to purchase them there.
Another week from today is the 15th of April. So get those tickets, wrfn.info. And I've gone through the site. It is as simple as Sue says to find that Evening of Elegance link and buy those tickets. St. George Banquet Hall, Jody. This has come a long way since those early days. I remember gathering at different places, including, and nothing against the smaller space at the center in the square, but that downstairs green room kind of area that they have. But St. George Banquet Hall is a pretty big deal.
That just kind of goes to show how much we've grown as well. And when we select our venues, it's really important that we're inclusive of the space as well, making sure that everything is accessible to everybody that is interested in coming. Right? We want to make sure that it's easy to access to everybody to enjoy the day.
Right. How much do you hope to raise through the Evening of Elegance this year?
The sky's the limit, but
Yes.
we do have a goal set this year of at least $30,000.
Okay. What goes into, because you mentioned as soon as you finish one, you're basically getting together and starting to talk about the next one. What goes into making this event happen now for 11 years?
Well, we have a very solid committee of people who have experienced that, and we welcome new people and new voices every time as well, too. So we've been very fortunate to add some new members to our working committee as well. And we talk about the night of that we've just run, and then we look at what can we improve on. What feedback did we receive from the people who joined us? How'd the food go? How did the pairings go? And then we meet monthly to discuss how can we build. And we reach out to our members of our community, look for donations, sponsorships, and how we can build upon the previous year and make it bigger and better and different.
Sure.
Right.
So Evening of Elegance on April the 24th this year. It's going to be a nice meal. You've got the guest speaker that you already mentioned and that fully assembled telescope as one of the prizes. There's going to be a silent auction, other ways to raise some funds?
There's definitely a silent auction as well with the mix and mingle, as Sue talked about. And we're also reaching out as well for donations, right? Donations definitely help to keep the lights on and keep services available to everybody. So donations will be key for us as well. But that silent auction table's got some pretty nice prizes to it as well.
Always does. What is your connection? How did you get involved with Waterloo Region Family Network?
Before I got into real estate, I was a developmental service worker and an instructor, and I met Sue through a mutual friend and got connected with the working committee. And that was 11 years ago and haven't looked back since. It's been great. Sue's really taken me under her wing and really given me an opportunity to see part of her world and build upon my knowledge in the community as well, too. So it's just been a great, seamless connection. It's been wonderful.
I love it. 11th annual Evening of Elegance. It's 2 weeks this Friday. You have 1 week from today to still get tickets and support this great work. Go to wrfn.info. You'll find all the information there. Sue, for families that might benefit from being involved in the network or other ways for folks who would be interested in supporting, how can we go about this?
We accept donations at any time. So again, that's on our website, wrfn.info. You'll see a donation tab. People can get in touch with us, talk to us. We do accept donations at any time if people come by to our office. We're located in Waterloo, and so happy to always accept that. We're always looking for volunteers. That's another great way where people can help us. Our parent mentor program is actually made up of volunteers. So those are parent mentors with lived experience that are so willing to give of their time to support someone who might be new to their journey. So that's a way of supporting too. Financial is hugely helpful, as Jody has said to us, but there's so many other ways that people can support the network. 17
years since those 5 families got this whole thing started. Would you have imagined then that the organization would be in the place it is today?
I think we always hoped it would be, but it's just amazing to see how we've grown. We started with supporting 8 families the first year, and we've now grown to support over 4,700 families in our community.
It's incredible work. I love the Evening of Elegance every year. I'm sorry I won't be able to be there in person, but we're there in spirit.
If you could just arrange your hockey schedule for next year, that would be really helpful.
Selfishly, I like that I'm still working because it means good things for my favorite hockey team, but I hear you, and I can't wait to come back and celebrate the Evening of Elegance with you. WRFN.info. Please check out that website. Get your tickets. You got a week still to do it. The Evening of Elegance in support of our Waterloo Region Family Network is on Friday, April the 24th. Sue Simpson, Executive Director at WRFN, and Jody Purdy, one of the event organizers. And hey, how about those Cambridge Redhawks? Give that big lug Kevin a big hug for me.
Will do.
Appreciate it. Thanks both for being here.
Thanks so much.
This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. I want to say that it is a sure sign of spring. And frankly, it is. I just feel like I'm being a little optimistic when I say that on a day as cold as today. But we know the weather is going to start getting warmer again tomorrow. And we hope that at least enough warmth and certainly no rain and definitely not any of that snow stuff is happening on Saturday, because it is this Saturday that the annual tradition returns to the streets of Elmira. It is our world-famous Elmira Maple Syrup Festival on Saturday. And joining us to talk more about it is a committee member, Steve Dressing, joins our show. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks so much for having me.
Always a pleasure. Just out of curiosity, do you still work the lead on the Pioneer Taffy demonstration?
Yes, sir. That is what I will be doing in Gore Park on Saturday, April 11th in downtown Elmira, twirling taffy just like the old Pioneer way, just like the last 60 years of the festival.
I absolutely love that. We're going to get into more of that in a second, but you just said something, like 60 years of this festival, Steve. And I meant it when I said, like, this is a world-renowned festival in beautiful Elmira.
Absolutely. It's the largest single-day maple syrup festival in the world. We're expecting, anywhere from 60 to 80,000 people coming to Elmira, and that is rain or shine, snow or rain. We will be there, so dress for the weather.
Absolutely, and I think we've gotten accustomed to that around here. What should folks know about this Saturday, how to get there, best ways to do that, what's going to be happening, etc.?
Absolutely. So there's going to be a ton going on. The biggest and best place to check out all of this information is at elmiramapleSyrupFestival.com, where you can plan your entire trip. I would always say, like I said, dress for the weather, bring cash for parking, $5. It's always a great idea to carpool. You can park on the south end of town. There'll be, great volunteers guiding everybody trying to park for the big festival. So that's going to be a big one for you. Otherwise, what's to see? I think a big highlight every year is definitely the taffy demonstration, but we also have our family fun area where we're going to have, big equipment tours. We're going to be doing petting zoos, lots of live animals to see. It's going to be a lot of great fun for the kids, and then tons of local vendors, delicious food. Obviously, our pancake breakfast is a huge draw every year, starting at 7 a.m. at the Lions. So that's going to be a big one, and tons of amazing maple syrup vendors as well. So tons of great things to check out and see, all for a fantastic cause as well, where we donate all those proceeds back into the community.
Any idea, Steve, how many pancakes will be flipped and served during the festival? Do you guys keep track by chance?
You know what? I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I'm going to make sure to find out this year, because I'm pretty sure that so many we lose count. We even do our pancake flipping contest as well. So that's something else to see as well if you're into flipping pancakes.
Listen, I've been a part of that before, and I just want to say on the record again, I said this years ago. This goes back a while, but I remember things, Steve. The other team cheated. Like, my appearance in that pancake flipping festival is under protest, okay?
Okay. Well, Mike, we'd love to have you back out to defend your title. We're always looking for teams, so that's a big one. But it's certainly a big draw every year.
Yeah, just remember, it's only a title in my own mind. They might have won fair and square, but I don't take losing all that well.
No.
I know we look forward to this every year, and you've described it so well. I mean, it just takes over Elmira, and we look so forward to it. But this doesn't happen just, by flipping a switch and saying, okay, everybody come out on Saturday, April the 11th, because that's when it's going on. What goes into the preparation for this every year, Steve?
Oh, there's so much. Honestly, a big shout out and thank you to all of our volunteers for the day of, which we're always looking for more. So if you're still looking for something to do Saturday and you want to volunteer, you can see us, at elmiramapleSyrupFestival.com to find out how you can be a part of it. But yeah, we have a committee of about 35 people who are doing everything from, finding vendors, setting up all the different permits and things at the township, setting up the taffy demonstrations. This year we're going to have merch where you can, bring home a little piece of the festival with you as well. Parking and getting all those things organized. Tons of local businesses pitching in, and some great sponsors like Zaki Trucks, Elmira Pet, the township, obviously, Provincial Waste Systems. All these fantastic sponsors and so many more are all giving their time, their money, their effort for all of us to be able to hold this festival. where we get to really highlight and promote so many amazing local artists and local businesses and vendors, and really, find our roots in Elmira and, help share that with the entire Waterloo region and beyond. We have people coming in from all over. So the big thing to say was, last year we were able to take that and donate over $68,000 in grants as well. So all that does go back into our community right here in Waterloo Region and Woolwich Township.
That's fantastic, $68,000. And you mentioned bring cash for parking, Steve, $5. And then once we get into one of those lots, are we going to have the wagon ride into town again?
Yes, so we still do have the wagon rides running as well. And, if the wagon ride that takes you into town is something that excites you, we do our Sugar Bush tours as well, where, you can head out to a bush and kind of see how it's all made as well. So another fantastic thing to do, but definitely bring cash. We have tons of cash vendors. Parking is cash. Cash is king. But yeah, definitely we're going to have those wagon rides as usual for us as well. So definitely very fun for the kids and the families as well.
Okay, let's get back to the taffy demonstration that you will be leading, because sugar is one of my primary food groups. I love all things sweet. What's the secret, Steve, to, spinning that taffy like our ancestors did?
What's the secret?
Yeah,
well, I'm only 3 years into my apprenticeship here, but it does run in the family. It's my wife who helps me out with this, Michelle. Her grandfather and his twin brother, they started this over 62 years ago with the festival. So it's pretty near in the family. But I would say the secret is the snow you get, because we're pouring it over local Elmira snow, and it's got to be just the right consistency. It can't be a cold snow. It can't be too wet of a snow. And then it's really just the art that, our fantastic Optimist Club, who's been working the Taffy Circle over the last 30 years as well as part of the festival, is just watching that boil. You're looking for the right color, you're looking for the right flakes, and you're looking for that right consistency before it's time to take it and pour it. But really, the secret of the taffy demonstration is the people that you see coming in every year. Some of the guys have been doing this for a long time, Mike. There's kids who are, just little ones, barely as high as the fence 30 years ago, who are still coming back to make this thing special, and now they're bringing their kids. So truly, that's the secret of this, this heartbeat of the festival.
Absolutely love it. Looking forward. I mean, dozens of volunteers. Just prepare this, to say nothing of all of the volunteers that are part of it on Saturday. 60 years strong, tens of thousands of dollars raised last year. Steve, keep it up. We're really looking forward to Saturday, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Mike. We appreciate it, and we can't wait to see you there.
You will indeed, and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Steve Dressing is a member of the committee that organizes the Maple Syrup, the Elmira. It's the one and only. Like, if I'd say Maple Syrup Festival, you know that I'm in Woolwich, right? I'm in Elmira. Check out elmiramaplesyrupfestival.com for all of the details, including parking. It is a world-renowned event celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. $68,000 raised for charity, granted back out into our community from last year's festival. And it's a staple on the calendar. And it happens this Saturday in Elmira. Check out elmiramaplesyrupfestival.com. And with that, I'm going to get you to the 570 News Center for your 11 a.m. update. That's just a few minutes away. And then, who wants to talk baseball? Don't you roll your eyes at me or shake your head at me. The Blue Jays, what a difference 1 week makes. When Blue Jay Hunter was here last week, we were talking about an opening weekend that could not have gone better. Dare I say, the first full week could not have gone worse. Blue Jay Hunter joins us next, and you're welcome to be a part of the conversation on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio.
'77 was the Jays' first year. Toronto fans could finally cheer as Alt hit 2 home runs in our first game. Bob Baylor was number 1, Jerry Garvin's pickoff gun. Wins were few and the team was new, but the fans still came. They're talking baseball. Rick Cerrone and Louis Gomez, Blue Jays baseball. Ron Fairley, Hector Torres, Big John and Griff and Otto all could play. Roy Howell, Rico Carty, Dave McKay. I'm talking baseball, 10 years with the Jays.
A balk has been called on Kevin Gausman. He wants to know why. John Schneider wants to know why.
Well, he was bouncing coming set, but somebody maybe didn't think he came set.
I mean, he's always that. Left foot is always going up and down. Oh, boy. And John Schneider just got tossed out of the game by home plate umpire Dan Merzel. At least from the video we just saw, it looked like the normal Kevin Gausman delivery. And John Schneider is livid.
John Schneider's livid for a number of reasons. Number one, it's a balk call on Kevin Gausman that he feels his pitcher does the same thing every time. This is another opportunity, though, for John Schneider to give the umpire a sense of his mind, because his team is off to a scuffling start here early in the year, and there's only one way to try to get those boys in the dugout going.
Skates through which we pass Alexander's game to win.
I think John Schneider is all of us, and by all of us, I mean Blue Jays fans. It's Wednesday morning, just after the 11 a.m. news. The one and only Blue Jay Hunter joins us to talk Blue Jays baseball. Good morning,
Good
Ian
morning,
Hunter.
sir.
Is John Schneider all of us? I'm a little worried about John Schneider. I don't know that you should turn that shade of red.
Yeah, I was going to say, what hue of crimson was that last night? It was very, very red. I didn't expect him to get tossed this early into the season, but you could kind of sense frustrations just surrounding the team bubbling up, and getting called for a balk, which to be honest, that's a typical Kevin Gausman delivery. He just kind of rocks back and forth. The fact that the home umpire decided to call that a balk was just what sent him over the edge. And I can't really blame him for getting tossed. And that was the biggest cheer of the night for John Schneider getting tossed, because really hasn't been much to cheer for if you're a Jays fan the last week or so.
Could not agree more on that front. And I also agree with your assessment of Kevin Gausman's delivery in this instance. I think John Schneider was right. I don't know that he needed to turn that shade of crimson, but I think he was absolutely right. It was not a balk, but that is water under the bridge now. Let's talk for a moment, because I wanted to see, look, Blue Jays fans are having a rough time, understandably, right now. I am forbidden from being too critical at home because my beloved says it's still early, just relax. Mm-hmm. But I'm having a rough time, 6 losses in a row. We're going to get into all of that, but I wanted to try to find a positive to start with. And I think Kevin Gausman allows us one of those positives, because he was decent last night and he's been quite good to start the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he kind of has picked up where he left off at the end of the postseason last year. Just keeps rolling. Was one out short of another quality start last night. He posted quality starts in his first 2 games, didn't give up a walk in his first 2 starts, and was just racking up the strikeouts. And it was another typical Kevin Gausman game. Like he kept his team in it and didn't let it get away, which has just been so important, as we've seen over the last week, where whether it be, flu affecting Eric Lauer, or a forearm strain taking Max Scherzer out the other day, or Cody Ponce being out of the starting rotation entirely. The fact that you've got a veteran like Gausman that you can basically pencil in for 6 innings or more every 5 days is just so important. And he kept up his end of the deal, but in typical Blue Jays fashion as of late, the offense didn't deliver. They had plenty of opportunities, stranded tons of base runners, didn't come up with the big hit last night. But as I said last week, and I think this will be a theme all season long. I think this team is going to go as far as the starting pitching can take them. And Kevin Gausman said, hey, guys, hop on my back. I'm going to do my best to help this team. And that's what he did last night.
Okay, so when you and I chatted a week ago, it was just after opening weekend, a sweep. Things could not have started any better, Ian, for the Blue Jays than they had. And now here we are today, 6 straight losses, 11 runs scored in those 6 games. You talk about not getting it done. Bases loaded, no out, bottom 7, down 3-1 last night and did not plate a run. John Schneider said, better now than in August. I'll grant you that, Manager Schneider. But what's going on here?
Yeah, it's just the complete lack of offense. Because, as we've said, the starting pitching, other than the guys who have been exited early, have basically held up their end of the bargain. Everyone in the bullpen, save for a guy named Brendan Little, who got demoted over the weekend, has also pitched fairly well to keep this team in games. It's just been the lineup, right? Like, you go up and down, whether it's Dalton Varsho, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, they just haven't been able to come up with the big hit. And you thought in the seventh inning there, that or the eighth, that golden opportunity, bases loaded, nobody out. You figure they've got to plate at least one run here. And to fail to capitalize on that opportunity, that was probably the turning point of the game. There was also some sloppy play in the ninth where Brendan Valenzuela tossed the ball away to give the Dodgers an extra run of insurance. So it's just been the last week. It's been not a lot of great baseball being played. We had Tyler Heineman throwing away balls over the weekend in Chicago, and they lose Cody Ponce for the season, and Alejandro Kirk is down for 6 weeks with surgery. Addison Barger's on the injured list. It's like every day it's something new for these Blue Jays. But I think if you're a good team, you're able to weather that storm, and you have the depth pieces that come up and perform with when there's an absence of a guy like a Kirk or a Barger. There's somebody who steps in, and there just hasn't been the player to kind of do that yet offensively. So I think they're going to break out eventually, but it right now it seems to be snowballing. They need that one big inning and one big hit, and they just haven't got it yet.
So where's your panic-o-meter at? Because you're right, break out of this eventually. It's 11 games in. That means 151 games to go. But you've lost 6 in a row. You're in the series that is billed as the rematch of last year's World Series. I guess because on paper it is, but only one team looks like it belongs back in the World Series, and that's the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're 4.5 games back in the division already. Where's your panic-o-meter at?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe like a 3.
Okay.
I don't think it's something to ignore, but like, what's the saying? You can't win the division in April, but you can lose it. Like, you don't want to dig yourself into a hole where you're under 500 at the end of May and then having to claw back, because teams like the Yankees just could have their foot on the pedal and take off here. So, yeah, I'm not too panicked. I think they've been ravaged by injuries, which is really uncharacteristic. And I was thinking this the other day, the Blue Jays last year got fairly lucky when it came to like catastrophic injuries. Aside from Anthony Santander and Max Scherzer going down for, I believe it was 3 months, most of their role players were fairly healthy throughout the season. So we're now seeing the kind of void that Alejandro Kirk is because he's one of the top catchers in all of baseball, right? That's a huge thing defensively and offensively. Cody Ponce, he was a bit of a wild card, but again, another guy where now all of a sudden they had to sign Patrick Corbin, a free agent who's going to start on Friday. So not really sure what you're going to get from him. But yeah, this is a point where you don't want to be digging yourselves out at the end of April, under 500, looking up in the standings. That's definitely not a place you want to be, I thought. And again, too, these are winnable series early against bad teams, right? The Athletics, the Rockies, the White Sox. You would figure on paper, these are winnable series for the Blue Jays. And aside from the Athletics series, the Blue Jays were just not playing their brand of baseball. So hopefully they turn it around. They have to do it. If they want to do it today, it's against Shohei Ohtani of all people, right? It's not, again, it's no layup. But I think good teams rise to the cream rises to the top, right?
Kirk is 6 weeks, right?
Approximately, yeah. So I was thinking this would put his return timeline at maybe like the end of May, beginning of June. Again, this is best case scenario too, right? Like there could be a setback, but I think for the first half, the Blue Jays starting catcher all of a sudden is the backup, who's Tyler Heineman. And the drop off from your 1A catcher to your backup is, no matter what team you have, it's always going to be huge. But now all of a sudden, other guys are going to have to pick up the slack in the lineup, like a Dalton Varsho, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer. I don't think Tyler Heineman's going to step up and suddenly produce at a level that Kirk does. But yeah, that's a huge void for the Blue Jays. I think that of all the injuries they've experienced, it sucks to lose Cody Ponce. I'm maybe done for the season, but the Kirk one, I think, is going to be the biggest one to navigate right now.
All right, let's get to the phones because Blue Jays fans like to talk about their team. Kyle is with us. Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning. Mr. Blue Jay Hunter, I don't think I got to tell you, but Happy New Year, my friend. I'm glad to hear you're back.
Thank you, sir.
Your thing. It was exciting. It's quite the difference the team is from just opening games here, or the opening weekend, to what it is now. You said you're not going to get worried yet. Maybe I'm a little too passionate sometimes, and I'm really worried, especially with Kirky being gone. But you said, are we not supposed to be worried about when we're losing and getting swept by the Chicago White Sox or the Colorado Rockies? These are teams, especially, I'm going to just joke around, but the Colorado Rockies, every year before the season starts of a new year, they always announce that they're not going to make the playoffs. And here we are, struggling against them. So I don't know if I should, I'm going to the game on Sunday, and maybe I'll see a different type of vibe that they have now. But I think we're still a little early, sort of. I'm still nervous because, like you said, Kirky's gone, and that New Mexican guy that they got to fill in, that's a big role to take, right? So what's your thoughts on any changes they could actually make right now, or do they just have to kind of find that vibe and get back into it like they did at the end of last season? Thanks, buddy. Have a great day, and go Jays, go, bye.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I think, you hit the nail on the head. I think nervous is probably the good, better word to describe the Blue Jays fan base right now. There is a sense of worry just because there's so many important everyday players that are on the injured list right now and could be on the injured list for a very long time. So it's kind of hard right now. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, especially when you're going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the best teams in all of baseball, the team that just barely won the World Series last year. And you this series was supposed to be a kind of a litmus test, right? When the Jays face the Athletics, the Rockies, okay, sure, they win the series, but they're bad teams. If you take a series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, even though it's only a 3-game series, again, that's a really good barometer of how good of a team you are. And the Jays have already dropped 2 of 3. They got completely blown out in game 1. At least it was semi-competitive last night, but so far they're not passing the test. And to me, it all comes down to the lineup. If somebody gets a big hit here or there, I think we're having a different conversation. But again, I want to say the Jays offense really sputtered out of the gate last year as well. They were not a very strong hitting team in the month of April. I think that they had a tougher schedule last year, definitely to start, than they did this year. So I don't know what the explanation is. Just everybody seems to be going cold at once. Maybe it's this flu thing that's going through the clubhouse, but somebody's got to step up sooner or later.
Ian Hunter is the Blue Jay Hunter, joins us Wednesday mornings at 11 to talk Blue Jays baseball, even when they're on a 6-game losing streak. Stay with us. We continue on the Mike Farwell Show. You're welcome to join on 570 News Radio. It is a Wednesday morning baseball season, and the one and only Blue Jay Hunter joins us Wednesdays at 11 to talk Blue Jays baseball. I want to focus on catching to some extent. You mentioned there's really no replacing Alejandro Kirk, at least not easily. But you mentioned the sloppy play last night, and that Valenzuela throwaway in the 9th inning. This, to me, I feel like the players themselves are kind of feeling it, Ian, because sloppy's one thing. What are we doing out here on this field looking like a bunch of bush leaguers?
Yeah, and I will kind of give him a bit of a pass. He's a rookie catcher. That was his 2nd game, a big league game, I believe. But to Tyler Heineman over the weekend, again, that was a situation where he was kind of thrust into the game late, kind of cold. He's coming in a high leverage situation and he throws the ball away and then it happens again. Yeah, it's just when it rains, it pours, right? Like, especially when you're not scoring runs, you can make up for those kind of mistakes. If Vladdy hits a 3-run home run, we're not talking about that. But when you're only scoring 1 run or averaging, I think, about three and a bit change runs over this last stretch, it's you really need to thread the needle. And they have not been doing it. You have to basically play perfect baseball. Kevin Gausman has to come out and throw 6 shutout innings, which, he has done a couple times already, but, he gives up 3 and all of a sudden that feels like 10 runs just because of how much this offense has sputtered as of late. So I understand it feels like the sky is falling, but we're only, I think it's like 7% of the way through the regular season. There's so much baseball left to play. There's too much talent on this team for this to continue, right? Like they have to turn it around at some point. You just hope that they get out of this funk quickly because you don't want this to drag on into like May or June. And then all of a sudden we're having conversations about, oh, well, who should they trade? Let's talk about rebuild or retool. And I hate those words. This is not what we should be talking about. So I'm sure they'll turn it around at some point. It just, right now, it feels like it's never going to end.
Yankees out to an 8-2 start. That's obviously 800 baseball. The Blue Jays at 4-7, 364 baseball, 4.5 games back in the AL East. You mentioned Brendan Little before. I shed no tears for his demotion. I'm sorry. I know it's not kind, but you're in a performance-based business, a results-oriented business, and the results weren't there. Hoffman hasn't exactly been, making fans, and not that he's had a lot of opportunities to come in for saves, but how's our bullpen?
I would say overall it's been fairly decent. Like a guy, it seems like every other time I tune in, Tyler Rogers is in there, whether it's a high leverage or low leverage situation, and he's, I would say, performed pretty admirably. Jeff Hoffman, he's kind of a bit of a polarizing figure considering how rough he had it at points last year. But I would say overall he's looked pretty decent. If that ball isn't thrown away last night, I think he gets out of that situation a lot cleaner than it did. And then overall, like I believe a guy, I want to say Braden Fisher is a guy who's been suffering from that flu as of late. So maybe that's a reason why we haven't seen him. But Mason Fluharty, his second year with the Blue Jays, he's been excellent. There's really not a ton. Brendan Little, last week we said, was the whipping boy of the Blue Jays bullpen. He's now in AAA. Aside from him, there's really not many complaints to say about the Blue Jays bullpen. It really, if you had gripes right now, it's all about the offense, I would say.
Next Wednesday, I am going to be doing the remote show from Sault Ste. Marie, where the Rangers will be for the playoffs. But you will still be here.
Yes, sir.
And we will be talking. We'll be singing a different tune, correct?
I would hope by next week the Blue Jays will have won another game. Can we set the bar really low? Maybe 2 wins.
Okay. See, now we're talking.
Okay.
I would like to see a few more than just 2.
It would be nice.
It would be.
Yeah.
It starts this afternoon. Shohei and Dylan Cease. That's a pretty nice matchup.
Yeah, if you love pitching matchups, this is going to be a great one. And I'll remind you, the last time Shohei Ohtani was in Toronto, he was chased in the 3rd inning of the World Series Game 7 after a Bo Bichette home run. So he's not invincible. You can hit him, but hopefully it's a little more competitive than at least the first game was in this series.
It's like Drago in Rocky IV when he gets cut under the eye for the first time.
Yes.
The big Russian is cut.
All of a sudden.
There you go. I'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Ian Hunter, the one and only Blue Jay Hunter, joins us every Wednesday morning at 11 to talk Blue Jays baseball here on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. Once a month on the first Monday of we spend some time with our friends at the Food Bank of Waterloo Region, but I was a lazy so-and-so, and I said, you know what I need? I need a 4-day Easter weekend. So I took it, and our friends at the Food Bank of Waterloo Region were gracious enough to switch up their usual Monday segment and make it a Wednesday segment. I appreciate them for that, as I appreciate the Food Bank of Waterloo Region for all of the work they do. CEO Kim Wilhelm joins us for these monthly chats. Good morning to you, Kim.
Good morning, and I hope you enjoyed that 4-day weekend.
Did I ever?
Excellent.
Can I get more of those, please? Really great time to be talking to you because our Food Bank of Waterloo Region recently was awarded a Standard of Excellence accreditation, which is a very positive milestone. Mm-hmm. And it gives some perspective, I think, too, on Ontario's 2026 budget through the lens of food insecurity. These are the things I want to get into with you today. National Volunteer Week. I mean, there's lots. So before we get into the budget, this accreditation that you have been awarded, what can you tell us about the Standards of Excellence accreditation?
Well, it's something, Mike, that we're really, really proud of. And Food Banks Canada has come out with a new Standards of Excellence accreditation. And it's a national recognition that really reflects how seriously we take food safety, accountability, governance, how much we care for our community.
In practical terms, what does this mean?
It means that we are held to high standards in terms of how we deliver food service in our community, and that there's a minimum threshold that we strive for to make sure that everybody receives food in a consistent, dignified, and safe way.
What makes an accreditation like this particularly meaningful now, Kim?
You know, Food Bank, as you said, food bank use is at an all-time high. 1 in 9 households right here in Waterloo Region are accessing food assistance. And, you know, I think about back when I started in food banking back in 2015, 2016, and the numbers of food assistance changed about 5% over the course of 12 months. We could review data once a year, really, if we wanted to. Mike, we're changing sometimes 5% between the start of the day and the end of the day. Numbers are changing rapidly. The cost of living has never been higher. More and more people are struggling with affording the basic human rights in our community and really in our country.
So that really speaks, of course, to the need, right? Mm-hmm. 1 in 9 households here in the region. We hear numbers like this across the country, truly. So let's take a closer look at that provincial budget a couple of weeks ago. From your perspective, as the CEO of one of the largest food banks in Ontario, is there anything in that budget that's going to help reduce the need for food banks?
Truthfully, not really. There's some measures that are going to help ease pressure for people, like cost of living supports, investments in the economy, and of course they're important. But what we don't see are the kinds of changes that will actually help move people out of policy. And that's going to come from a lot of policy changes. So things like increases to social assistance rate, stronger income supports, and that's really what's needed to reduce food bank use.
So what's missing here, Kim?
Right now, as I said, 1 in 9 households in Waterloo Region is accessing food assistance. And it's not because that's a food problem. It's not a food shortage problem. It's because people can't afford the basic human rights. They don't have enough income. And so what's missing is having income supports that protect workers, raising those social assistance rates. OW hasn't been increased since 2016, sorry. And so think about the cost of living that's changed between then and now. People can't afford to live, Mike.
There is a sense that economic growth and job creation will, over time, help relieve this pressure on food banks. What do you make of that analysis?
Economic growth is definitely important, absolutely, but it doesn't automatically translate into stability for everyone. Many people we're seeing are already working. Some have 2-3 jobs, full-time job during the week, part-time job on the weekend. So unless that growth leads to better wages and more stable employment, it won't significantly reduce food insecurity.
So what would you like to see instead? Does this come back to those income supports, et cetera, you mentioned earlier?
Yeah. So adequate social assistance rates, wages that reflect the true cost of living, and housing that people can actually afford. And because food banks were never meant to be a long-term solution, the temporary response is such a big issue that we're facing.
What does this mean for the Food Bank of Waterloo Region right now, today?
It means that people in our community are going hungry, but we are going to respond. We have the most incredible, generous community, Mike, who continues to step up and support their neighbors day in and day out. And without the support of those individuals, we wouldn't be able to ensure that we have the food that we need in our warehouse to distribute food. Mike, last year we distributed almost 10 million pounds of food out of our warehouse on Alpine Court, and we did that with a team of volunteers. We have 10 refrigerated trucks on the road that we use to make sure that that food is delivered safely, and we are going to continue to step up and do that work, but we'll do it because of our community.
We know that we have a generous community. We know that we have people that are, inspired by the spirit of volunteerism, and a great team there at the Food Bank of Waterloo Region that's helping to keep this all operating, especially considering the demand. Before I let you go today, is there anything else you want us to know about?
Well, it's really important to highlight the role of our community, and we can do that through national volunteer work that's happening from April 19th to 25th. Volunteers are truly the heart of our community. I was talking to somebody today who's been in our facility a few times and said, Kim, it's always so happy when I go there. And it is because our volunteers, our staff, they work together so well. And we know that when you come in, you're doing good work because you're making sure that people get food. They're helping in every aspect of our organization, whether it's helping out with deliveries, helping out in our office, at events, sorting food, receiving food, going to the grocery store to pick up food for us. Our volunteers are at the heart of absolutely everything that we do.
And for National Volunteer Week, which is the week after next, this one has a special focus for you, right?
It is. 2026 is being recognized as the International Year of the Volunteer, which makes this moment even more special. And it's a great opportunity for people to think about how they can give back, whether it's for the first time or as a continued commitment to their community. It's never too late to get involved.
What would you tell someone who is considering volunteering?
There's a place for everyone. If you want to learn more, we encourage you to. We have an information night. You can learn more on our website at thefoodbank.ca and come to the information night. Find out about how to get involved. Find out about the various roles. We really try and make a spot for everyone because we know it takes, as they say, many hands to do good work.
And you mentioned, even just within the Food Bank of Waterloo Region itself, the varied roles that volunteers can play.
Absolutely. I can say that volunteers together contribute about 12 to 13 full-time employees worth of time to our organization every single year. And when I say they're at the heart of everything that we do, they are, and we try and find a role that fits best for the individual.
I've always said to folks when they come and ask me about volunteer roles that I've had or their building experience for this thing or that thing, I've often said, if you have an area of interest, you can almost certainly find a volunteer opportunity that will help you gain valuable experience in that area of interest.
It's true. And Mike, the focus today is to talk about the food bank, but let's be honest, our community does so many great things, and there are so many incredible organizations who support our community in various ways. And so if there is a particular nonprofit that you have an interest to, call them, and I'm sure they would love to have your time.
Appreciate you and the work that the entire team at the Food Bank does in a really demanding area. It's so important these days with food insecurity where it's at. So thank you for that work, and thank you as always for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.
Kim Wilhelm is the CEO of the Food Bank of Waterloo Region. She's with us on the first Monday of every month at 10:30. This week, because I took an extra day, we shifted it a little bit. We want to make sure that message gets out there. 1 in 9 households is relying on the food bank here in our region. It's definitely a high demand area. Kim joins us on the show once a month to keep you up to date on all of those things. It's the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio. Well, did you know, and I confess, I was about 7 days ago old when I learned that the Region of Waterloo Swim Club is about to celebrate its 50th year. I knew about ROW, Region of Waterloo Swim Club, but I did not know about 50 years of excellence that are about to be celebrated at a gala. We're going to learn all about that as we're joined in studio by our next guest, Caitlin Schultz, who is a coach with the Region of Waterloo Swim Club. Coach Caitlin, good morning.
Good morning.
How did you get into, let's go right back to that dip in the pool. Like, I remember my parents made me take swimming lessons, okay, because my mother, not a strong swimmer, and she wanted to ensure that her children had some confidence around the water. And I will not tell a lie. I really did not like swim lessons, Caitlin. I didn't. But we went through and got up to, it was called Star 6 at the time. Anyway, blah, blah. How did you get into the pool?
So I grew up in Toronto, and I was in swimming lessons, and I just progressed too quickly. At 4, I was in a lesson that required you to go home and write out the steps of CPR, and could not spell my name. So my parents found a little local Learn to Compete program that Toronto ran, and from there I progressed to the East York Swim Club, and then the rest is history. Swam till the end of high school and got right into coaching.
Absolutely incredible. So quite the overachiever then.
I don't know.
In the pool, come on. You're 4 years old jumping up to all these different levels. That's cool. That's cool. How did you end up with the Region of Waterloo Swim Club?
So I was coaching in Toronto, and I started dating a coach that coached for ROW, and he told me he was never moving to Toronto. And so when the position became available, I applied and moved to Waterloo, and I've been here ever since.
We're lucky to have you. And let's be honest. I mean, I worked in Toronto for a bit too. This is a better place, yeah?
Agreed.
Okay.
I don't miss Toronto.
Sometimes I feel like it's getting a little bit like Toronto around here, but
a little bit.
Yeah.
16 years ago, it was very different.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also agree with that. Okay, we're coming up 50 years of excellence being celebrated at the Anniversary Awards Gala. Tell me more.
So we're doing an event for our alumni and current adult membership. And we're inducting into our Hall of Fame. So we have a Hall of Fame with Victor Davis, Mike West, Laura Nichols, and Jen Button, who are former Olympians from ROW. And we are inducted actually 7 this year. So we are adding a new layer to our Hall of Fame. And we're adding in builders. So those are the people who helped save Laurier Pool about 20 years ago when they were considering shutting it down, because without them, we wouldn't have a program. So that's Dave Hughes, Tom Fuke, Tracy Bennett, and Peter Baxter. And then we have one Paralympian and 2 Olympians who we're inducting this year, which is Keith Beavers, Takashi Yamamoto, and Jessica Tomello.
You talk about some of that history and those names, especially Mike West and Victor Davis. I mean, we're talking about some pretty big, hairy deals here that came out of our swim club.
Yep. It's pretty incredible. My swimmer's favorite thing to watch right now is there's a documentary from the 80s that follow Victor Davis and Alex Bauman as they train for Commonwealth Games. And you can see Laurier and you can see Victor Davis training in Laurier, getting ready for these big races. And it's so cool when you think of how much history is in that pool.
Absolutely. How active is our club today? How many kids are involved in this swim club?
So right now we're over 300.
Amazing.
Because we have programming for 4 and over. So we have Learn to Swim that swim 45 minutes a week. And then we have 18-year-olds who are swimming 8 times a week plus weight room sessions.
Incredible. Tell me more about that. Swimming, so you're in the pool plus weight room. Obviously, these different programs would complement one another. What does training look like for a swimmer?
So it depends on the age. For our younger kids, it's just in water. As they get older, we add in like dry land training, so skipping, kinesthetic work, balance training. And that starts around 10 or 11, and then we slowly increase it. So our 12-year-olds are doing 3 30-minute dry lands. Our 14 and overs are doing 4 30-minute dry lands. And then our older kids are hitting the weight room 2 times a week, plus on-deck dry lands.
I love to hear about these new levels that you're adding to the Hall of Fame, including builders. And you mentioned Peter Baxter's name. I've known Pete for a long time through his time at Laurier, obviously, and you've made reference to that pool. One thing I understand, Caitlin, is that we're not doing as well as we maybe could around here. And I'm not trying to get political, but in terms of the facilities, I mean, I think we might be able to do better. How do we make it work for 300 plus swimmers in this club without maybe the ideal environment?
The dream right now would be an 8-lane 50-meter pool. Right now, when it comes to our long course championship season, the only pool in our region that can handle that is all the way out in Windsor. So automatically, our championship meet goes to Windsor every June. Currently, we are spread out over 3 different pools. So we train out of Laurier, the Waterloo Rec Center, and Cameron. And then we sometimes get shuffled into pools like Bright Up or Forest Heights. The new pool being built in Kitchener is a great resource, hopefully opening in January. But getting that 50-meter pool in where we can host some big championship meets would be really exciting.
Yeah. How can we do that? Is it just a matter of, maybe getting some loudmouth on the radio to start talking about it a little bit more?
I think that might be it.
It might be it. I know a guy, Caitlin. I know a guy that might be able to help in that regard. What is it that's attracting? What would you say the benefits are for these 300 plus athletes that join the Region of Waterloo Swim Club? What do they get out of this?
Sense of community. The club is one fun thing about going back and talking to 50 years of athletes is how all of them are still connected and want to give back to the sport. And you see that a lot with our kids. They train together all the time, but then they're still always together, always talking, always on the phone. And swimming is one of those life skills. Just like you said, you might not love it, but you got to learn to do it. And I push kids into swimming because it's one of those sports you can do for life. You go to a master's competition and there's a 95 and over category. And I don't think I've ever seen another sport where you can do that.
That's an excellent point. And, it's funny. So, yes, I know all of the basics, and I remember this from a kid. Even I think it was because it was a lesson. Like, you had to do this thing, and I wasn't super enthusiastic. But just this past summer, I was at a buddy's place, and it was right on the water. So, of course, it was a nice day, and I thought I'm just going to jump in. Swimming is hard, Caitlin. I was exhausted in less than 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, I know how to do these strokes. This is a lot of work out there for an old fart like me. You don't keep up with it.
It is. It's a lot of work. And I think people think it's easy, but it becomes easier. And I miss back before things got more complicated with insurance, but we used to allow parents to come in and do a parent relay once a year. And the coaches were really competitive about it. And we'd train them. We would have parents come in at the end of our workout so that we could get them ready for these races. And parents were shocked. They're like, my child does this 5 times a week. I'm like, you guys aren't even doing a smidgen of what your kids do. And they're always shocked.
I love it. I was also shocked, not in a good way, but at least I could still float and stay above water. Okay, the 50th anniversary awards gala, April the 25th. My gosh, we're coming up in just a couple of weeks. How can people get involved, support?
On the Row website, there's a giant link to everything you need to know, when, where, and how to purchase tickets.
All right. Rowswimming.ca. Ticket purchases. Does this help fund the club, keep it going?
Yeah. So any money raised through the ticket sales or the silent auction is going to go into our high performance fund. So that helps us get kids to these big competitions because sometimes they're really far away and there's additional costs to get our coaches there and those swimmers there. And it might not be accessible for everybody. So any money raised will go into that fund so that we can keep pushing high performance.
It is a tremendous community that's been built, 300 plus youth athletes involved in it today. I'm going to encourage you to go to rowswimming.ca. You'll find the link there for the 50th anniversary awards gala of our Region of Waterloo Swim Club. Incredible, underappreciated, kind of flies under the radar around here. Are we going to get a Coach Caitlin induction at some point down the road?
Probably not, but that's okay.
Hey, thanks for what you do, and thanks very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Caitlin Schultz joins us as a coach with the Region of Waterloo Swim Club, celebrating 50 years with their awards gala on April the 25th. Rowswimming.ca is the website. Talkback coming up next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage out of sight, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just out of curiosity, asking for a friend. No, I'm not. I'm asking for me. Did I go to bed last night in a democracy and wake up in a non-democracy? Can somebody answer the question, please? In fact, I would like Prime Minister Mark Carney to answer the question for me. Am I still living in a democracy, Prime Minister Carney? I'm exaggerating for effect. I can't tell a lie to you. However, if you want to chafe my chaps, just go right ahead and cross the floor. You know what, Marilyn Gladu from Sarnia? I'm glad the Sarnia Sting didn't make the OHL playoffs this year, okay? I'm glad they failed to make the playoffs for the third straight time. 16 out of 20 teams make the playoffs, and your Sarnia team couldn't make the playoffs for 3 straight years. I'm glad. How do you like that? In case you were unawares, Marilyn Gladu, formerly Conservative MP for a Sarnia community, is now a Liberal. It is the latest floor crosser. You know how I feel about this. Again, exaggerating a bit for effect, but it really does chafe my chaps. I don't care if it's been going on since the dawn of Confederation. I don't care that it has happened hundreds of times since 1867. It is undemocratic. I know in theory, we elect an individual to represent us individually in their individual seat. I get it. But we know that in practice, what most people are doing when they cast their ballot is voting for the team. The blue team, the red team, the orange team, the green team, the purple team. That's what they're doing. We know this. So you got elected for the blue team because of the blue team, not because of you, Marilyn Gladu. Sorry, as much as you'd like to think that highly of yourself. They elected your team, and you were part of it. And now you're saying, you know what? I'm done with that team. I'm going over here to this team. Dennis's email confirms my feelings. This is getting ridiculous, Dennis writes to Mike at 570news.com. Another PC crossing the floor to join the Liberals. I just needed to get that off my chest. It makes me feel a little bit better. It is undemocratic. Full stop. End of story. Enough with the floor crossing. If you want to cross the floor, I respect your right to do that. You can make your own choices. But first, you have to come back to the electorate and be involved in a by-election. You ask the voters, us. It's a democracy, or at least it was when I went to bed last night. You ask us if it's okay if you change teams. And then we'll cast our ballots. And if we say it's okay, then you get to change teams. Other than that, you stay where the hell you were elected. End of rant. Let's go to the phones. It's the Talkback Hour. Jersey Bill is going to start us off. Good afternoon, Billy.
And I couldn't disagree with you more.
Want me to hang up on you?
No.
Okay. You're allowed to disagree. I like that.
Yeah, listen, I mean, what's fantastic about this is that for all his supposed inexperience, Mr. Carney has proven to be a political genius.
I'll give him that. Yep.
And you know what? all the mistakes that Prime Minister Trudeau might have made in his 10 years, and also, which was also based on his not being so much of a political pragmatist, though I guess he was in his supply agreement with the New Democrats. But when he saw that he didn't have a path forward, and he was going to be not just himself but his party was going to ignominiously turned out, he turned to Mark Carney, who has turned out to be just he's drawing these people from both parties. I'm looking forward now. That's funny because what did we see on the Toronto Star on Friday? Premier Ford wants the Liberals to win all the by-elections because he wants to deal with a federal majority government. This is what's happening. What's happening is a realignment of Canadian politics. The old PCs are anybody who might think of themselves as an old progressive conservative is more in line with Mr. Carney. Also, I think on the New Democrats, you're starting to see, and that's not just the two opposition leaders in Saskatchewan and Alberta, but I think probably in that little rump caucus, you've got people who are more pragmatic, and I could see two or three of them also or just joining the Liberals. And I think, as I said, I think the New Democrats as a federal party just go away, and Abby Lewis maybe joining with Elizabeth May and making a slightly larger Green Party, which would make sense. One party on the left, this large party that's going to go from the center right to the center left, and then Poilievre's party, who I guess can be as conservative as they want, but they're not going to be able to split the vote of more pragmatic people who are interested in reform and in economic progress. That's just the way I see it. And another thing, I wish that it would happen in the U.S. I wish we had a few floor crosses in the U.S. that at least would then empower the Congress to stand in the way of Trump and his administration's crazier notions.
I would never wish it on you, Billy. Sorry. Never would I wish that on you, a bunch of floor crossing traitors. Anyway, thanks for the call. I'm glad you take me with the grain of salt that I am offering to you around this lunch hour. I don't disagree with Billy one bit on the political shift that we are bearing witness to in Canada. It's been underway for quite some time, I would submit to you. Today's Conservative is yesterday's Liberal. And sure, maybe Pierre Poilievre and Maxime Bernier can get together on, what is a new real right of center as opposed to centrist, pragmatist, as Billy said, etc. Again, I'm fine with it. I understand that you think that the water is better over there, or maybe you identify more closely with the ideals of that other leader. Just go to a by-election. How can that be too much to ask in a democracy? Go to a by-election. Lisa, good afternoon. You're on Talkback.
Yeah, here, Mike. I mean, whatever her beliefs/feelings have changed to become, she's been elected 4 times as a conservative, and then she's crossing the floor to become a Liberal. I can't even imagine what things will be like in her riding when she goes in there. Like, there's got to be a lot of really not happy people when she comes back home. I don't understand how that can even be part of our electoral system, that would be allowed to happen. It's I don't care. If she wants to be a Liberal, woohoo, go be a Liberal, but not when you were elected as a Conservative. That just doesn't make sense to me at all. And my other 2 cents worth is I think we need to give the Blue Jays a little bit more time. We're a little early before we all start jumping off the bandwagon that we all got on. So
Lisa,
I've always been a Blue Jay kind of.
Lisa, we're 4.5 games back already. Lisa, the Yankees are 8-2. Come on.
How many games? 162. We got a lot more to go.
Okay.
And, I'm still a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, Mike. So.
I am too, but that doesn't mean I just don't think I get it. And it's 7% of the season, like Blue Jay Hunter told us this morning when he was here at 11 o'clock. But the wins that you get now, they matter the same as the wins you get in September.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
We didn't have a good start last season either. I didn't think so. We've still got some time, and I always felt you cheer for the local team. You know, whatever the team is closest to you is the one that you cheer for. And it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Toronto Blue Jays. If I were a basketball fan, I'd cheer for the Raptors too. I mean, I hope they win, but yeah. So I just feel like we have to give them some more time.
All right, Lisa, appreciate it. Great to hear from you on Talkback today. I'm not a very patient person. I guess that's what it comes down to. I will freely admit that. So come on with your coming on, Blue Jays. Let's get it done this afternoon. Dylan Cease. It's going to be a good game. Dylan Cease versus Shohei Ohtani. Walter is with us on Talkback. Good afternoon, Walter.
How's it going there, Mike?
My blood pressure is up there, Walter. How's it going with you?
I only worry about the things that I can control, Mike. I don't worry about all that other stuff. But listen, buddy.
Okay.
As far as that conservative, you know, like going over, you know, like by this time next week, you know, like Carney could have 174 seats if he wins all three of those.
That's right. All three of the by-elections. Yep.
Right.
So now, are you telling me that you're concerned about the same thing that I'm concerned about, even though it's not in your control?
No.
Oh, you want a fake liberal majority?
I don't care one way or the other because I think that he's been doing a really good job, and I have always been a conservative my whole life.
Okay, tell me, if he's been doing a good job, at what per se? Give me an example of something that he's done that leads you to think he's done a good job.
Okay, how about that speech over in Davos? Did that not unite a whole world almost, except for the U.S.? I mean, like, that was a brilliant speech.
It was a very good speech. But is that a year in what we're saying Mark Carney has accomplished as leader?
No.
Delivered a good speech?
All the deals that he's gotten all around the world for us, and he's a fantastic orator. And, he's doing a good job. Let's put it that way. But
listen, I'll tell you what, Walter, like Churchill was a fantastic orator too, and I'm all for fantastic orators, make no mistake about it, but I'm done with the sizzle. I would like some steak. And by that, I mean, could I please have a lower cost of living? How about that? It's expensive out there, Walter. I'm making less money now in real terms than I was 10 years ago.
Okay, well, you're not the only one. So,
should that not be? Should we not be upset about that?
Well, hey, you could be upset about it. Like I said, you know, like they're going to announce, some sort of relief on Friday. We'll wait and see what happens.
Okay.
Now,
but I'm supposed to be happy because he gives good speeches. So it's okay that my affordability has tanked in the last 10 years, but it's okay because he speaks well.
Okay, well, if that's how you want to approach it, then you're a lot shallower than I thought you were. So,
I'm just asking. I'm just looking for some relief here, Walter.
Hey, all I'm doing is calling into a talk show. So, listen, as far as the Blue Jays go, there's no way that they're going to get back into the dance this year. They had their chance last year. Everybody, I can say, that it wasn't the manager's fault or that it was Hoffman's fault. Absolutely, it was. He made a bad call by putting him in. We were 2 outs away from the World Series.
Well, you're going to relitigate the World Series now? We're 11 games into this new season, Walter. Let's focus on that.
No, and we're already under 500.
Very much under 500.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as this season goes, I don't have a whole lot of hope for them. I mean, I hope they do good, but I cannot see them getting back to where they were. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I missed your hunter on your show today, the Blue Jay hunter. So I didn't know what was spoken on that show, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I mean, they are getting whomped, by the Dodgers, and the injuries that they have. All teams get injuries. Okay, fine, but the Blue Jays seem to have a whole wide rash of them right now.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Okay. So here's the deal. Walter is down on the Blue Jays and up on the Prime Minister. And that's okay. I only give Walter a harder time because he and I go way back. Like way back. Guelph Storm, Kitchener Rangers way back. He's a long-time regular caller. I don't give everybody that hard a time. I'm here for the free flow of ideas. I'm just a little bit, I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit cranky. Another floor crossing. Oy vey. It's Talkback. You can tell me what you think of floor crossings. You can tell me what you think of the Blue Jays. You can tell me what you think of gas prices, grocery prices, or the weather. It's Talkback. Let's discuss the issues of the day or the issue that you want to make the issue of the day. It's all here for you on The Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. The Talkback Hour is your opportunity to do just that. Talkback. Phone lines open. You are welcome to start the conversation. Tom is with us. Good afternoon, Tom.
Hi, Mike. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. For what?
We should have immediate re-election for all these guys that cross the floors.
And girls. Don't forget the girls, too.
Yeah. Girls. Because what happens, the people didn't vote for them. And then, what is the purpose? You're bringing all these other in, and you're not looking after your own MPs that have worked for the party. You're giving power to these other ones just to get them. So that's the one. And Davos was the worst speech ever because it changed our politics with the states. They were afraid, and they still do whatever they want. So he hasn't done anything for the people. And like right now, he wants to buy 50 billions of submarines, 50 billions in planes. He wants to militarize the country. This is crazy. We got other problems. So he hasn't done anything good to alleviate food, gas, or anything. Nothing. I hope people vote those people out. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate the call. We agree on floor crossing. Seems rather undemocratic. It should easily, just trigger a by-election. It's pretty simple from where I'm sitting. And I did like Mark Carney's speech at Davos. I can admit that. And I have to also be honest, and I think you probably know this too, because you're no turnip. And that is, as much as we'd like to say, well, Prime Minister Carney hasn't done anything good because the cost of living is still so high, et cetera. It's not like he can just wave a magic wand and make things more affordable. And I think Pierre Poilievre, as the leader of the opposition, has done a great job of beating that drum, but we should be cautious about the claims that somebody can just be elected to lead and suddenly be granted the magic wand that makes everything more affordable. All I'm saying, or what I mean by bringing that up, is that's what I'm feeling every day when I look at my bank account, when I buy things, you name it. Like, it's expensive out there. And it feels like it's getting more expensive and I'm falling further behind, and that's incredibly frustrating. So instead of, while I support the increases in defense spending, et cetera, I would like to know that at the same time, we're also looking at affordability measures. Something, I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much, but that's what you feel, right? And if it doesn't seem as though the leader is understanding that sentiment, well, then I just question the leadership. That's all. Preston Paul, Farwell's Force, member number 45. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. What a beauty day out there, and them being a little cold.
She looks nice from here.
Yeah, until you step outside.
Thanks for the warning.
Stay in the sun.
Okay.
Walk on the sunny side of the street. That's for sure. Anyways, you're talking about the garbage thing. I got my little pamphlet here, and it's saying that the large black bins, you can put 90 kilograms in, 200 pounds. The small cart black bin is 45 kilos and 100 pounds. And the large green bin, you can put 38 kilograms, 85 pounds in.
Hang on a second. Well, you're killing me here. Are you really reading right from the pamphlet? Because I read right from the website this morning, Paul, and it said 85 pounds.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at 2026 waste collection calendar. I got 12 pages here, and it's got everything there. It's right on the very first page. Gives you when it's supposed to be picked up. It's got everything right there in front of me. So I don't know what maybe they've changed it since they put this pamphlet out. But when I heard earlier people talking about that, you were talking about the 100 pounds and stuff like that. I'm thinking, no, that's not what I read.
I'm telling you, I got it right from the region's website. I'm looking it up again right now just to be safe. It's got frequently asked questions, everything you want to know, all about carts. Bang. And it says right there, large black cart. Oh, I read the wrong one. Preston Paul is right. Large black cart, 200 pounds. Small black cart, 100 pounds. Green cart, 85 pounds. Preston Paul, that's it. I'm quitting. You're hosting the show.
No, not a chance, buddy.
I love it.
I'll help you out at the Farwell Force.
That's why you're here, buddy. You nailed it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I thought maybe when it comes May and we get a little warmer, you start your Farwell Force. If you need a second hand to help you out with some chores, I'd be willing to lend my time for you.
You're a beauty, Paul. Okay, we got to run to get the news.
Okay, buddy. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, buddy. Go Jays. I'm with you. We'll keep the faith. It's Talkback on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. So, just to confirm what Preston Paul reminded us of before that update from the 570 News Center. Got a call from George on the show yesterday. Is it true, George asked, that I have an 85-pound weight limit for my new black garbage bin on wheels? I couldn't find the information anywhere, George said yesterday, so I found the information for him, except I found the wrong stuff. It's all in the same place, but I looked under the wrong heading. So if you go to regionofwaterloo.ca/carts, all of the information is there. And I am under the frequently asked questions, the background information, all about carts. And it says the following. Large black cart has a weight limit of 200 pounds. A small black cart has a weight limit of 100 pounds. The green cart has a weight limit of 85 pounds. And now you know the rest of the story. 85 pounds for the green cart, 100 pounds for the small black garbage cart, 200 pounds for the large black garbage cart. Don't ask me if the mechanical arms are getting a hernia if they pick up something too heavy. Those are the rules, and you can find them all for yourself at regionofwaterloo.ca/carts. Let's get back to the phones. It's Talkback. Dylan is next. Good afternoon, Dylan.
Good afternoon, Mike. I understand that you're running a radio program, and you've got to make it entertaining for people to listen. But I do caution against saying that it's undemocratic for floor crossings to happen.
It is, though.
It is not.
It is, Dylan.
It's totally in our Constitution.
But that needs to change.
For hundreds of years.
But I don't care.
So instead of using Trump-style politics and labeling things undemocratic that you don't personally like, do something about it. How many letters have you written to your MP?
Oh, gosh. Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
Okay.
They haven't broken a single rule. And just to be honest, I'm not a go liberal kind of guy, but I'm just saying this is the way that Trump deals with things. You don't like something in government and you slander it. This is the way our Constitution is written. It's been that way for hundreds of years. Right now, it's very consequential because we're so close to a majority government, sure. But no one has broken a rule. We have a democracy in Canada, a great democracy.
No, actually, we don't. I disagree with that wholeheartly. Our democracy is falling apart. Yes, but that's what I'm allowed to express here.
And that's why I said I'll give you some leeway. But I think it's slanderous. I don't think it's the right approach. Say you don't like it all you want, but don't call it undemocratic. That's our democracy. That's the way all Canadians, that's what we live under.
Yes, and it's failing us.
Correct. Again, tell me you don't like it.
I don't like it.
Don't tell me it's undemocratic.
But it is undemocratic.
It's our democracy. That's the way our democracy works.
Right, and our democracy needs to be fixed. So if it is indeed slanderous, the person who I am slandering, I welcome the opportunity to tell them how undemocratic I think this is and how we can fix it, which I'm proposing have a by-election. I fixed the problem. I've identified the problem, and I fixed the problem, all at the same time.
So educate us on how we can go about making those changes. Rather than just throwing out these terms like undemocratic. I take issue with that because, I appreciate our democracy and no one's broken a rule. No one.
I used to appreciate our democracy. It is falling apart before our eyes. And my appeal is directly to anybody that has run or is currently sitting in office. Give us more integrity, please. Please.
Okay. I encourage you to educate your listeners on how we can go about making that change happen.
All right.
While not slandering our democracy.
It's not slander's a strong word, but your point is well taken. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day. I'm sorry. I am so vexed by this, and I'm not doing. I mean, I said at the beginning, I exaggerated for effect with, oh my gosh, I woke up one morning and it was no longer democracy. This to me is not only lacking, completely and utterly lacking in integrity, first and foremost. It is also, in my estimation, an undemocratic maneuver that we could easily eliminate with the obligation that one must stand the test of a by-election if one wishes to cross the floor. If I try getting into all of the minutiae of our Westminster parliamentary system, we're all going to fall asleep. And I certainly don't want that. So, nonetheless, I appreciate Dylan's alternate point of view and calling me on some of my crap here. But I stand by how angry this makes me. That is not exaggerated. This infuriates me. It really does. Terry, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. I was talking to Devin. Is he listening in right now when I called in?
It does not look like he is. Wait, I'm getting it. Is he listening? He's listening. I got a thumbs up.
Yeah, I requested a song, but I got a brain cramp. He started talking about Saturdays, so then I got thrown off the rails. So I would like to cancel that request if I could.
Devin, cancel Terry's request. Okay, we got thumbs up.
Excellent.
We didn't want to play it anyway.
I hear you. Well, how about this one? From New York to L.A. by Patsy Gallant. That's there's a location for you. I know it's going to hurt Paul from Preston's ears because he doesn't like disco, but that's all I could think of, Mike. Anyway, going back to about the Blue Jays, do you think last year might have just been a flash in the pan, Mike?
Well, listen. I'm not gonna. I can't cast judgment on an entire season on April the 8th. But sure, that's a possibility. Of course it is. I think a lot of players overachieved last year, for sure.
Yeah, because I was thinking just a couple of years ago, you had the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks in the World Series. Where have they been since? They've been like non-factors. So they were kind of flashing the pans those 2 years. So it does for those two teams that year. So it does happen. I mean, are they as good as they were last year? Probably not. Are they as bad as the last 6 games? Probably not. But yeah, maybe I was just thinking maybe they are a flash in the pan. And when I called yesterday, Mike, about you say you don't want to police the callers. Like remember I said about the Ranger post.
Terry, please. I got phone lines are jammed here. I need you to get your point.
I'll be real quick, Mike. But you do police your callers. You ban Rush from calling your show, and you at times when I've disagreed with you, you wouldn't answer, wouldn't take my calls for a while. So.
When were you ever in my penalty box?
Well, I'm not saying I was in your penalty box.
Oh, well then.
Called and time expired and I was on hold for a long time, and you wouldn't take my call.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
Not true? Okay.
I have never ever had you in my penalty box.
Okay.
Okay. And the caller formerly known as Rush knows exactly why he was no longer welcome to participate in the show. So sure, I guess, Terry, there might have been some policing in the past. Forgive me. Grumpy Phil, you're next.
Good morning. Good afternoon on this beautiful sunny day. I got to give a big shout out to small town Ontario and small town Canada. I just got back late last night from Terrace, British Columbia. I drove across country with our son who's moved out to Terrace, BC up in the north. And, I'm driving along out through northern Ontario through those snowstorms. I'm looking at all these towns that get ignored when it's not an election year, unless it's a photo op about this mysterious ring of fire that's existed for 60 years of mining. Ignace, places like that, Dryden, Hearst, Long Lake in Ontario, you never hear about them until it's an election year or a photo op. Going out to the west through, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, you go through all these towns like, we always hear about them, on Hockey Night in Canada, such and such is from this small town, and you're like, kudos to these people who are so proud of their small towns they get ignored when it's not an election-ish year or a photo op. And there they are, the proud Ontarians, proud Canadians in these little wee areas, spread out 1.5 kilometers from the nearest neighbor, and they're proud Canadians. I just want to give a shout-out to those people who tend to be ignored when it's a non-election year. Here in Ontario, it's all about the GTA. But what about Long Lake? What about Hearst? What about Trout Creek? I admire those people in those small towns who are proud and kind of get ignored, unless it's an election year.
Phil, I appreciate the call. There is something about Southern Ontario, isn't there? We, along this stretch of the 401, make up about 1/4 of the entire country's population. And the old idea that we feel as though we are the center of the universe is reinforced time and again. When you are here, you are definitely here. Everything, it seems, is happening here, right around here. I'm with Phil. Like, those places in this country, I absolutely adore because they're just chugging along with their everyday lives, far removed from the madness that is Southern Ontario and the center of the universe. And just to Terry's call, look, he's not wrong. And I have it's almost 9 years on this show, evolved as a show host. I think this is a far more open forum than it once was. And I'm not making excuses, but COVID times were utterly ridiculous times. These are no longer COVID times. And anybody that wants to call that feels as though they were previously unwelcome, come on back. We know you're still checking in with the show. You're more than welcome on the show. We only have boundaries of good taste, and along with that, you cannot mention one hockey team. That is the hard and fast rule that remains intact. I do take umbrage, though, with Terry's own suggestion that I somehow, some way banned him. I do not. I try to get through as many calls as I can. That's why I had to cut Terry short today, because phone lines are absolutely jammed. But he got me thinking about that, and not wrong. Like, there was a flat-out rejection of Rush's calls years ago. I don't know why we're still relitigating years ago. Does it matter that the voice hasn't been heard in a while? And if you want to hear it again, always welcome to call in and share a different point of view. Dylan did that earlier. He still calls back to the show, and he's welcome to do so. Ernie is next. We got phone lines open for you, too, as we're moving through the calls. Ernie, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Mikey, I'm a little fired up today.
Oh, you and me both, buddy. So fired up.
And I just want to say, too, just back to the previous call, quick point. Mike, me and you, I disagree with you quite a bit. I agree with you quite a bit. Me and you have gotten into heated arguments on the air. But, Mike, you allow me that time to discuss and to yell at you if I want to. You know what I mean? So as far as, like, if people are saying, well, you wouldn't take my calls, that's BS. Because even when Mike and I disagree, Mike takes my call. You know what I mean? So thanks for that, Mike.
Well, thank you for that, Ernie. I think that's part of the evolution of this show and maybe its host, too.
But another point here, too, just with the floor crosser. So, yes, it's legal. So we'll go back to John Aru in Edmonton there. He won 5 previous elections, okay? That area has never, ever gone red, ever. And so, obviously, the lady that just crossed now, 4 Conservative elections. That is a complete, even though it's illegal, a complete betrayal to Canadians. I'm questioning whether my vote matters. After hearing, the Black Rock's report, too, about the minister, his wife, and the position that she's in, I'm questioning what backroom deals are these people getting. And so we can have callers call and say, this is great, this is great. What's going on behind the scenes that makes me feel that this is still a democratic society where my vote matters and Canadians' vote matters? Like, what's going on behind there? Like, you know, the people in those riding are livid. And sure enough, if there was a by-election held today, it's going to go blue in those areas. But they cross? Why? Maybe because Carney's speech was so good at Davos, that's what got them to cross. Because I want to know what one thing has he done to help Canadians so far, other than that one speech. And that didn't help Canadians. It was just a speech. Mike, I'm fired up. I feel like my vote doesn't matter, and I want to have hope again in this country. And I don't know, Mike. That's what I got to say.
Ernie, I appreciate it. Your sentiment about whether or not your vote matters or how much it matters is exactly why I describe our democracy as being in peril. Because I have voted in every election that I've been able to vote in since I was 18. And I'm starting to wonder the same thing. If I cast my vote for you, are you going to change things all on your own without coming back and asking me, the voter, if that's okay? I'm having a hard time. I'm having a really hard time. Talkback continues. A phone line is open for you on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. It is your daily Talkback Hour, noon to 1. We give you the chance to have your say on the issues of the day or bring forward the issue that you would like to be the issue of the day. My only job is to answer as many calls as I can. So let's get right back to the phones. They've been busy. Dan, Farwell's Force, member number 366. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. Beautiful day out.
So I keep hearing I can't wait to get out there.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit cool, but it's a beautiful spring day. Anyway, I just wanted to say the show is great. I really enjoy it, and not that my opinion matters, but you make me think it does, so that's a good thing.
Well, it matters to me, Dan.
Oh, that's good. Yours matters to me as well.
This is perfect.
I just wanted to not kiss your butt, but talk about the Jays. I think we all need to just step back, relax. The injuries have just plagued us, Mike. I think it's our how can you have the same kind of an attitude towards the game as they did last year when they're dealing with so much early on like this? I think we just need to give them till the end of May or something, right? And then we'll reevaluate.
Let me pull up because Clive had it all figured out. He sent me the stats that the way the Jays started last year, where they were, let me see, 6-5 after 11. We're 4-7. And we were 14-16 at the end of April last year. So
what about the end of May, though, Mike?
I don't have the end of May. And I hear you, Dan. Like it's a long season. I just worry a little bit. Those Yankees are running 8-2 so far.
I know. It's like you said, when you need 2 wins in September, it would have been nice to have gotten 2 or 3 in April.
Bingo. Especially against the White Sox and the Rockies, right?
Yeah, we should have beat them, and I realize that. And I think injuries is the reason, Mike, and I don't think we need to really get too excited unless some of them go on long-term. Don't even say that, but anyway. Thanks, Mike. Have a good day, bud.
Thanks, Dan. You too. Really good point. And no question, like the injuries, and think of the areas where the injuries have come from. When Blue Jay Hunter was here, as he is every Wednesday morning, 11 o'clock, we talked at some length about Alejandro Kirk, right? That is a significant injury to a player at a significant position where there is no easy replacement. It's not like Tyler Heineman just walks in and is the second coming of Alejandro Kirk. So there is that. Mary is with us on Talkback. Good afternoon, Mary.
Good afternoon. It's a lovely day, but I'm fuming just like you. I am so mad about this floor crossing, and it's irking me.
Well, it's in case you haven't noticed, Mary, it's irking me too.
Yeah. Well, I don't. These guys are calling it's Democratic. Well, but what I was going to say, and I've got a lot to say because, Carney. Other people write speeches. He has done absolutely nothing to change the lives of people in Canada. Right?
Again, it's not like he gets a magic wand when he becomes prime minister, but I agree. It's been tough.
Do something to make our Canadians feel like we've been thrown a crumb or something.
Sure.
The other thing is, I think because of the people that are floor crossing, I think they're self-serving. They want to get elected. They feel that the Liberals will next time be elected, and they might get a post in the cabinet. I think they're self-serving. I just only think they are thinking of themselves, not their constituents. And again, I would love to see if any or all would get elected as a Liberal.
That's all I ask, Mary. Just go to a by-election.
No, I said that.
Yeah, that's what I'm agreeing.
I'm just saying, if I'd been in Sarnia, elected her all these 4 years, I might even spoil my vote.
Uh-oh.
No, but listen, it really rubs me the wrong way that they can just do that without a by-election.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for that, you might find that people won't. They say, what does my vote matter? This is going to be terrible for, the democracy that we have.
Mary,
Listen,
we got to run.
Have a good day.
Thank you. I just wanted to leave it on Mary Ann's email. Farwell's Force, member number 258, emails to Mike at 570news.com. My thought is the problem is Pierre Poilievre. Clearly, he is not resonating with his former Conservative members. Mark Carney is a centrist Liberal. I think he's more compatible to traditional Conservatives. Pierre is just not that guy. We'll leave it on that note. Can't wait to come back tomorrow. I'll be here at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. You are invited to the conversation. We'll do it all over again. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.